We're here in beautiful South Norwalk for the 4th round of the National Havoc Robot League Open World Championship. The House of Havoc is filled to the brim with fans excited for prime time to start, which begins right now.
Welcome to the National Havoc Robot League 2025 Open World Championship. It's the 4th round of our season, and you know what that means? A lot of great fights. The story of today, pandemonium. Nearly a third of the robots in the primetime pits are all rocking the Panda. And I'm here with my good friend Kyle Croce. Kyle, how have these fights been?
These fights have been epic. We've had a lot of new competitors here today, so we've seen a lot of destruction, and we've seen some classic bots come back and show their skills. It's been fantastic.
Well, let's take a look at this 3-pound bracket where I cannot wait for the power of friendship and vapor trail.
That's right, and in the 12-pound bracket, it's the return of Huge! They're going up against powerful horizontal spinner, Siebert.
But in the 30-pound class, all eyes are in cage 1 for an epic MIT on MIT battle. Kyle, let's lock it and rock it.
Oh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, representing Team MIT, that's right, Ryan Duarte and Aries. And also representing MIT, it is Anad and Kratos. And with that, we're gonna go to the play-by-play booth to call this action. Adam and Ricky, take it away.
Thanks so much, Kyle. My name is Ricky Willems. I've got Adam Wrigley here with me in the play-by-play booth. We are going to be narrating all the action, making sure that you know exactly what's going on. I am so hyped for this first fight. Tell me what you're thinking, Adam.
This is going to be a crazy fight. 2 absolutely destructive robots, and the only question on my mind is Kratos going to work?
They've been hit or miss all day. Both of these robots can dish out a ton of punishment, but Kratos is only going to get there if that custom weapon motor of theirs can fire up the way it's intended.
And when it does,
boy does it hit. We're going to go to that right now. Cage 1, ready to fight. Robots locked and loaded. You can see Aries making its way to the pink corner. Kratos loaded up in the blue. Both of these robots have been prepping from their earlier fights, making sure everything is dialed in just so. You can tell they're feeling ready.
And on a beautiful new smooth floor, Kratos is the Greek god of strength, Ares the Greek god of war. 2 gods going at it. Who will be victorious?
Fight, robots, fight.
Wow, Kratos spun up really well there, but a big hit from Ares.
And a burst of smoke, and it is not spinning anymore.
Calling for an unstick almost immediately, not even 10 seconds into the fight.
Ares happy to give him that unstick.
That is a tap out.
You could see the power of Kratos there as it spun up, but the durability still lacking. Ares being to a lot of events here, dialed in. The durability outlasts the raw power of Kratos in that one. And in the battle of MIT and the gods, Ares is victorious.
I am stunned. That was such a big impact, and yet it seemed so precise. So much of that really went into the chassis of Kratos, and obviously it did a lot of damage in the process. One-hit KOs are not something you see on robots of that power level with that level of refinement every day.
Yeah, it was interesting. Saw a puff of smoke. Not sure exactly what happened there. We'll check it out on the replay. Maybe we'll be able to see.
We'll go to that replay right now as the house bot moves the husks of robots to the corner. Here you go.
Quite the spin up there, blinding speed, and then puff of smoke, nothing else. And there goes a piece of the wheel, I think.
Yeah, that's the tread from the wheel. When the tread from your wheel, that's like literally having your socks knocked off. As a human, that is the robot equivalent. There's so much power in these robots, and it's almost scary how controlled they are. You see these things, and you're used to these robots exploding or their opponents exploding. Both of these are tanks. They're really built well. So when that big impact hits, sometimes it's a little hard to understand just how much power is being transferred. We're going to head up to Richard. I think he might have a little more information for us. Richard, what can you tell us?
Well, guys, welcome to the primetime pits once again, or should I say the pandemonium pits. Like Sam said at the top of the show, they're making up a third of the pit area. We got one here, we got one there, we got one there, over there. They are everywhere. And right now, majority of the team is down, getting ready for their 30-pound fights. But of course, amongst the pandemonium here in the pits, there are some familiar faces, just like Glenn of Caldera. And don't forget, guys, everybody loves Glenn. I'll send it back to you down at the desk.
I love how embarrassed Glenn was when it just a common fact was stated.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Glenn. Like that's just factual
no
information.
dispute. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Sorry, Glenn. Like I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable. We all just really appreciate you being here, man. So yes, today we are now going through our 30-pound bracket. It's going to be so much fun. It's nothing but death. It's nothing but big hitters. We've got massive damage. You saw that fight was what? 3 seconds?
Yeah, it was a blink and then a half a blink.
It was too fast. Too fast. All right, let's have one more replay of that big hit. Let's see what happened with this MIT versus MIT. Bam. 1, 2, done. They don't want any more of that.
That wall strike from Kratos, I think that released that little puff of smoke, and I know there's no belt on that weapon. So maybe that was the
third
motor.
hit at the end there, that was just egregious. That was Ryan making a statement, letting his classmates know how he feels about it.
Well, you can't let Fluffy do the unstick if you can do it yourself.
Amen. This is what it's all about today. We are going to be awarding 3 brand new golden dumpsters. We're going to be qualifying, 12 more people for the World Championships at the end of the year. This is the end of the bracket. We are ready to go. And yes, the story today, Team Pandemonium is taking over the pits. They have qualified more robots today, advanced more robots today to this primetime bracket than anybody else. All right, let's go ahead and introduce our next competitors.
First up, it's Colossal Avian.
That's right, Colossal Robotics, Matthew Zhang. This is an overhead attack bot, and it is rip-roaring and ready to go. But they are up against Kevin Biagini and Light Force. This is Team Pandemonium at its finest. This bot has had some very crazy issues today. Let's see if they're able to keep it together. But right now, to call this action, we're going to go to Adam and Ricky in the booth.
What a fight we've got here. Colossal Avian, an overhead hammer saw going up against the powerful Verts in Light Force. Kind of a typical shape in Light Force. Colossal Avian a little bit more unorthodox in their design. How do you see this going, Ricky?
I have a feeling that Colossal Avian is going to have a shot here, but ultimately Light Force is what's going to take the win. Colossal Avian's had a lot of trouble really delivering on their, we'll call it aggressive potential. That weapon can do a ton of damage to the top of its opponents, and certainly it's got the horsepower to deliver those blows. For whatever reason, it just hasn't come together to them very regularly.
You can see those keep away forks they have on the front there. I'm a big fan of those, having run those often with Shatter. And of course, the downside is that if you set them at the wrong distance, they can keep people too far away. I wonder, looking at it, if they've set them a bit far away for this fight. they're not going to get a ton of reach past them.
Well,
with that disc.
you look at it, Adam, they clearly have resigned themselves to attacking from the sides.
Yes.
That is in the wrong spot if they want to attack the front of their opponent. But as an overhead saw, that probably wasn't their first choice.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's an interesting strategy. I like to be able to go front to front and to take that, like you're saying, it is kind of giving that up. They're not going to really win those engagements. Are also probably not going to lose them. If those forks work, they will keep them away. So we'll see both teams here probably going to try and get around the side.
Yeah, as is so often the case, it's just really interesting to see Colossal Avian has completely resigned that particular strategy, at least as long as those keep-away sticks last. They might not be there for very long.
That's a good point. Those keep-away sticks
5,
are 3D printed.
4,
they might not
3,
last forever.
2, 1. Fight.
Away we
Robots
go.
fight.
Colossal Avian off to a quick start. Oh, a belt has come off of Light Force almost immediately.
Now, which belt was it?
It looks to be a drive side belt. Ooh.
Big body
Excellent
slam.
smack
Deliver
there.
the weapon.
So far, those keep-away sticks seem to be pretty dialed in. You can see the gyro forces on Light Force getting them up on their own head, and then a big blow to the bottom of Light Force.
Yeah, you can see they're nicking at the edges here. Those keep-away forks holding Light Force maybe just a little too far away to get one of those full base plate smacks that you want to see. But they are very controlling, able to push Light Force all over the arena at will.
Now a bit of a dance in the middle of the arena. Both robots trying to get the advantage.
Light Force can do nothing about the ground game of Colossal Avian here.
Now here's the question, will they strike? That would be a weapon-to-weapon blow.
It looks like they're dialing down the weapon, not going to take that shot.
I can't blame them there. I don't think I would make that gamble.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, big pieces of the arena kick plate being torn up.
Ooh.
I think you might have a point there, Adam. Light Force is really always just slightly out of reach for Colossal Avian with these keep-away sticks.
This is prime.
Oh,
And that's
right
a
in a
beauty of
fire!
a shot. Able to sneak the prongs around the front.
Look at that, right? You can see it, the motor controller itself has been shorted out. All the power of those dense LiPo batteries is being dumped through a little circuit board that is absolutely not meant to take that kind of abuse.
The keep-away forks pay off in the end, able to wrap them around the corner of Light Force and deliver a beauty of a shot.
Yeah, that could not have been better executed. They had such a small window to deliver that blow. Really, they had no extra reach whatsoever. That must have, I want to say must have, that was probably measured out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did a little bit of reconnaissance work ahead of time to figure out exactly where to put those keep
Yeah,
sticks.
spent the duration of the fight just sort of finagling Light Force into exactly the right position to get that hit. Now with that win, that means that Colossal Avian will qualify for the championships later this year. The top 4 robots in each weight class will qualify for the championships. Let's look at the replay, see how they got there. You can see the duration of this fight, them trying to get that hit. There they hit that extra armor panel on the left side. They spent the rest of the fight trying to get around to the side without that armor panel. Had a few shots to base plate, glancing blows, but here able to deliver a beauty of a shot at the end as they grab the corner, snaking those forks around, coming down over the top and slicing through the internals.
Yeah, look, it tore through that plastic top plate like it was straight up not there, which is really impressive. I mean, that plastic is nothing to sneeze at. That is a thick piece of armor plate and plastic, and it just cracked like nothing at all. So that weapon on Colossal Avian, absolutely no joke. We're going to head back to the desk. They're going to introduce us, get us ready for the next fight, and give us some thoughts on this one. Guys?
Absolutely stellar performance. Matthew Zhang, Colossal Robotics, qualifying for the World Championships at the end of the year and moving on in the next round of the bracket.
And in such spectacular fashion.
It just couldn't have worked out better. That shot was gorgeous. When you have an overhead attack bot, that is what you want to see. The drama, the intrigue, the patience, the wait for the hit.
It's something about that anticipation. It's
Poetry.
It really is.
It's violent, destructive, beautiful poetry. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we are going to be moving on in this bracket. The next round that we have coming up is going to be, I mean, come on, the 30-pound division right now. It is all destruction. I think you just saw the least destructive bot, and that's Colossal Avian. And you saw what they just did.
Yeah.
So if that's the low mark, wait till you see what's coming. This crowd is hyped. We are ready to go.
Look at that.
All right, let's meet our next competitors. Representing Team WPI, it's Connor Howard.
And he's rocking Waddles.
This is a bot that can be a horizontal, it can be a vertical, but it is always deadly. They're going to be going up against Team Pandemonium and Jillian Doolittle and Overlord. It's big, it's awkward, it's just maxed out for the weapon. Look at that thing, it's absurd. All right, so to call this action, we are going to go to our friends in the play-by-play booth. Adam and Ricky, tell me what you think about this match.
This is a heck of a matchup. These are some big weapons going toe-to-toe. Adam, tell me, who's your money on in this fight?
Well, it's a good question. Let's send it up to Richard, actually, and see what he's up to in the pits.
Yeah, he might have a little more info for us. Richard, take it away.
All right, guys, back up in the pits here. I'm with Ryan of Aries, and you've got another big fight coming up. So what are we tinkering with right now?
We're going to switch configurations around. We didn't have a ground game in the last one. We're going to add that. We also have some heavier top plates we're going to install. Hopefully, they're not going to make a difference, but we'd like to be prepared.
All right, so what's going to be the biggest challenge against Colossal Avian?
Not getting hit. No, I think just hitting first. If we hit first, I think we'll be okay. So we're going to come out swinging.
They are going to come out swinging. I like that approach. All right, we're going to send it back down to the booth. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got to go Waddles in this one. They've been hitting like, a freight train all day today, and I just don't see how anyone's going to overcome that.
Waddles is such a compact design, and when you're going up against such a big weapon, that can go really one of two ways. Either you put all of that compactness, all that density into armor, and you can really take, oh, okay.
So that, you don't want that to happen.
No, you really don't. That's something else.
That was just exposing the belly immediately. That would be.
We have seen that today, though. It's kind of surprising. Overlord has this propensity to just flip onto its back if it accelerates too fast. It's part of the geometry of the robot. They need to be more careful. If they're doing that in the first, well, before the fight even starts, just loading into the arena, maybe something's changed with their robot and it's not quite behaving as it used to.
It is tricky because if they were to put anything like a wheelie bar on the back, they would have difficulty self-righting.
Yeah, it would be a big trade-off, but I don't know that their trade-off is where it should be.
Fight, robots, fight.
Away we go. Overlord a little quicker out of the corner, but unstable.
Yeah, they're having difficulty keeping the front end on the ground.
Waddles delivering a big hit to the front and center. I hear smashing. Things are bouncing off the roof.
That was a high-pitched sound for an engagement.
Both of these robots still seem to be running at full blast, but you can see the front armor has been ripped off the left side of Overlord entirely.
Overlord having a difficult time turning as Waddles is sort of just negotiating around the arena and dialing in these hits.
Oh, and here's where we've seen Overlord so many times their weapon is just not quite able to flip themselves back over, stuck on their head.
They request the
Oh,
unstick
there it is!
Here. Oh, and
they were able to
are
self-right, but only after they called for an unstick.
Oh, the frame on Overlord is completely bent.
Yeah,
their weapon
now
dragging on the floor.
Putting little holes in our nice arena plywood.
Oh, so much for the new floors. It is getting torn up by Overlord.
Now Waddle's having a little bit of trouble driving, partially because a big chunk of their wheel's missing.
Driving well enough to deliver another massive blow, tearing the front off of Overlord in the process.
Yeah, that is the other armor package on the right-hand side, and it's preventing them from driving with any level of competency.
Both robots crab walking here. Waddle's still able to deliver the hits to Overlord.
Well, both of these weapons are still going full blast. This could be anyone's game. It's a question of who has the better skill driving impaired.
We are only about halfway through this fight. Both robots are looking the worse for wear. Who's going to be able to win this war of attrition?
Very punch drunk. Oh, look at that Overlord.
Oh,
my
Waddles
goodness.
has high-centered themselves with only one drive side moving. Can they unstick? They do.
Can before having to call for an unstick. That is
They've got to be careful here. They keep sticking themselves against the wall.
Well, they're in a bit of a rock and a hard place situation. If they turn their back to Overlord, they're going to get torn in half. But if they turn their back to the wall, they're going to get stuck.
Waddle still keeps popping Overlord into the air here. Their weapon spinning down. Now it looks to be dead.
No, it's just, well, it's struggling, but it's still spinning.
Overlord maybe gave him a bit of a kickstart there. It's now Overlord's weapon having trouble spinning.
Well, Overlord's weapon has been hitting the ground over and over and over again. That's going to cause your weapon to overheat.
And Overlord doing the thing.
Oh, now here's what they need to do. If they kick that motor in the opposite direction rapidly, they could self-correct. But I don't know if they have that ability.
Waddle's using the power of the weapon.
to become a pseudo-bristlebot.
That's the fight as Waddles delivers a last-second hit to the base plate of Overlord. Both robots coming out with significant damage.
Yeah, what a wild outcome.
Now it looks like Overlord is fully able to drive despite the bent frame. You know, the weapon isn't really spinning up, but they are driving. Waddles losing a side of drive. The weapon's still functional. Judges have their work cut out for them in this fight. I'd have to give the edge to Waddles going into it, but they didn't make it easy for the judges with the latter half of that fight.
They certainly did not. Let's do a replay, see if we can get a little more insight on just what happened. You can see Waddles is able to just deliver these well-placed hits early in the fight, but they were just giving them away. The way that Overlord ends up turning onto its back over and over again made them a prime target. This is lost. This battle was only lost by Overlord if they indeed lose, simply because it couldn't keep its belly on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that Overlord is such a large weapon that all that hectic bouncing around was able to catch Waddle's wheel at some point, tearing a chunk out and killing that side of drive and changing the entirety of the fight.
Very, very strange. We're going to head back to the desk, and they're going to get us ready for the next fight. Guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Kyle, that fight was better than I was expecting, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, the reliability that we saw out of both robots was very impressive. Yeah. They took a lot of damage, but I gotta say, you gotta hand it to the Team Pandemonium folks. That bot kept going, even with a bent frame.
And that weapon was dragging on the floor for so long, and that's hard on your electronics, and no smoke, no nothing out of it.
That bodes very well for that team going forward. I think if we're going just by the numbers, that's gonna be a full-on Waddles win, but man, that was a really impressive matchup. It's just all bangers in the 30s, man. The next round's going to be, or the next matchup's going to be even better. And I'm looking at how this bracket is shaping up going into the semis. It's going to be epic.
Yeah, absolutely. And whew, what a number it did on our cage. We've got like 6 guys in there all sweeping it out, getting it ready for the next one. And it's just about there.
I am very excited to see it. But yeah, Overlord, Team Pandemonium, maxed out for the weapon. But in this time, At this time, it's time to go to the next matchup, the final in this round for the 30. First up, representing Team Pandemonium, it's Corey Nason.
And he's rocking Synthesis 30.
This is an epically large weapon on a fast driving platform. They are going to be up against Team Cryptid Robotics, Joe Copenhaver, and Deadrise. This is the third place winner at the last Motorama event. This is their first time at NHRL. They have been putting on clinics all day. Two giant weapons. Who's gonna win? Let's go to Adam and Ricky in the booth to call what might be a quick match.
Yeah, we will have to see. Both of these robots can dish out a ton of pain. Synthesis 30, great little fact here. Only robot to have KO'd two-time world champion Emulsifier at NHRL. Adam, how do you feel about that one?
We were a little disappointed in that fight, but you know, they earned it. They took out what they needed to get that victory. Synthesis 30 is one of those robots that comes out and sometimes it has issues and sometimes it doesn't. You just don't know what you're going to see. Earlier today, there was sort of a double knockout moment when their opponent actually ended up tapping out to give Synthesis a victory. Deadrise similarly has looked insane today, but also ended up having to forfeit one of their fights because they were having radio issues. I'm seeing here again, they're opening the door, not a great sign. Which Deadrise are we going to get to see here as they get ready for this fight? If both these robots come in at 100%, this will be a nasty, nasty fight.
See, Pandemonium. I think Pandemonium's a little bit like a zombie virus. You get bitten or brushed against by someone who's infected and you eventually end up joining the team. They are this group loves their team members so much. It's such a supportive, excitable group, and it's really wonderful to just feel the energy in the crowds translating into the box.
Great group of people bringing great robots and great jerseys to the competition.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fight, robots, fight.
Away we go. Deadrise having a slow start, but a big hit.
And that is not good for Synthesis 30.
Not at all. Oh, I see a battery, I believe, has been knocked out of the back.
All over the place, and Synthesis 30 can't move.
No,
they are tacos.
Their chassis is bent up right in the middle.
And
it's a parabolic shape.
Spinning. It's just the weapon vibration pushing them around.
That is incredible.
Deadrise coming in, giving him an unstick. And that's going to be a tap out from Synthesis 30.
What an impressive hit. That is...
Both robots' weapons up to 100% in that fight. Both robots ending with a bit of drive issues as even Deadrise wasn't moving 100%, but Synthesis 30 wasn't moving even 1%, and they're going to give the tap out to save their chassis.
We're going to head to the replay, take a look at this. You can see Deadrise and Synthesis 30 spin up very quickly, but Deadrise gets a little bit of a wonky start. Doesn't matter, still able to deliver a big blow. They take full advantage, get that big hit to the back, double tap, and that is it. A fantastic bit of driving and a little bit of good luck bring Deadrise a great victory early in these brackets.
Good driving with Deadrise getting to the juicy bits of Synthesis before Synthesis could get to the juicy bits of Deadrise. Outlasting them with Synthesis' dangerous weapon still spinning at full speed, but the drive completely dead after those massive hits from Deadrise. Let's throw it back to the desk and look at what's next.
Fun fact, at the Motorama event earlier this year, these guys went 1-1 against each other. This was the rubber match, and yeah, it went a very interesting direction. Is that what you expected?
You know, that matchup was pretty balanced. You know, they have the same weapon type. They're both big vertical spinners, similar drive. I wasn't super familiar with Deadrise, so I honestly was expecting Synth 30 to take that one, and
yeah, no,
I'm not disappointed.
Well-driven, powerful weapon, a little bit more balanced. All right, so we do have a judge's decision in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch the screen. This is coming up right now.
All right.
Split decision. Your winner is Waddles. That is absolutely incredible. So they will be moving on to face Dead Rise in the next round.
That's going to be a tough matchup for them. After going through Overlord, I know they didn't go through unscathed. Neither did Joe and Dead Rise, but it's about who can fix their bot up the best.
There are 2 Dead Rises. I saw them up there, so it's going to help. That's going to help quite a bit.
That's convenient.
And Joe's got his dad here helping him out today, which is always nice.
Well, Waddles has a whole WPI team behind them as well.
All right. If you are just joining us for the first time tonight, let's go over Havoc 101. All right, so we've got 3 weight classes, 3 pound, 12 pound, 30 pound. These are going to be 3 minutes per fight. The goal, destroy your opponent's robot. You can win by tap out, you can win by knockout, or you could win by judge's decision, worst case scenario. Each bot can use 1 unstick per fight, and the top 4 bots qualify for the World Championships at the end of the season.
Worst case scenario, winning by, I suppose, if you don't include losing.
Well, yeah, but the worst way to win is judge's decision. You don't want it to go to the judges.
That's true. All right. Seems like we're ready for the 3 pound bracket, so let's take a look at what we have lined up here. We've got Power of Friendship at the top, going up against Knuckle Sandwich. And followed by Repeater and Knuckle Sandwich. It looks like a little error in the bracket here. But Mondo Bizarro is going to take on Jelly Baby, and Sad Octopus will be going up against Cold Snap. And you know what? I know what that top fight actually should be. The Power of Friendship and Vapor Trail. Definitely looking forward to that one. Can't wait to see what Kokoto does with the bird drilling bots.
All right, speaking of that first fight, let's go ahead and meet our competitors. Representing Team WPI, it is Kokoto Mane and
the Power of Friendship.
Love these bots. It is a team affair. These are 2 drill bots that work together, and they're going to be going up against Team Pandemonium's Johnny Bahamas, Johnny Soonpass, and
Vapor Trail.
Love this robot, powerful vertical spinner, the first one Johnny's really competed with. I cannot wait to see this action. Let's go to Adam and Ricky in the play-by-play booth to call this fight.
5,
Thank
4,
you, Kyle. Let's
3,
listen in.
2, 1.
Fight.
Away
Robots
we
fight.
go. A strong start from Power of Friendship, immediately winning the exchange and pinning Vapor Trail against the wall.
Power of Friendship's ground game has been incredible as they dig their drill directly into the weapon belt of Vapor Trail.
That was a near flawless beginning to this fight for the Power of Friendship, and they're keeping it up. It's amazing that these 2 robots are able to coordinate so well and yet function independently fantastically as well.
Now this is a 2-on-1 fight here, but each half of Power of Friendship weighs less than Vapor Trail. They do get a weight bonus here, so combined they weigh a bit more than Vapor Trail. But despite the scale here, that Power of Friendship half is lighter than Vapor Trail and is pushing it all over the arena. That's impressive. Unable to release the pin here means that this pin isn't going to count when this goes to the judges. They'll have to sort of ignore that engagement.
It's interesting that they can't disengage. I wonder if it's actually Vapor Trail's fork assembly that's causing the problem here. We'll see a little more when they get separated, but there's no...
Yeah, it is interesting. Power of Friendship's forks are very smooth. You'd think they'd be able, and usually are able, to disengage. So, yeah, unsure what's happened here. Now, this does not count for anyone's unstick. This is a separation, so it's sort of a neutral thing. Although in the course of the separation, Vapor Trail is stuck on the wall. I think they'll be able to get down.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I can't quite understand what it was that caused that entanglement, but it does seem to have been resolved. That's what our house bots are there for, so at least some of the time.
It looks like it should get stuck. Just sort of jammed in, wedged into some sort of gap.
It happens from time to time.
We're not going to get to see the safety crowbar in action.
What a shame. Away we go. Fight resuming at the 2-minute mark. Vapor Trail getting a couple of good pops and half of the Power of Friendship not moving at all.
That could be why they were unable to separate if they just couldn't move.
Yeah, perhaps they just were disabled in that exchange. And no, the whole front of Power of Friendship is starting to fall apart.
And the wheel of Vapor Trail is falling apart simultaneously. This does not look good for Power of Friendship, as one of the robots is dead and one of the robots is trying to have a yard
but look
sale.
at this! What a fantastic pin, a fantastic push into the wall, and an application of the weapon that's near perfect.
This would be an incredible comeback if Power of Friendship could make this happen.
You can hear the crowd chanting friendship. Oh, it is so precarious. The wiring on the weapon of Power of Friendship is right there. It's so snaggable.
And the belt of Vapor Trail just dangling in the air.
Yeah, that's substantial drive damage on
Power of
Vapor
Friendship,
Trail.
another pin here. Will not give up.
Don't count them out. It's a never give up, never surrender kind of moment.
A hit right to the back of Power of Friendship, and they're still going. Vapor Trail backs off.
I would back
again.
off. It's one of those things where you punch someone hard enough and you expect them to flinch, and when they don't, it's just unnerving.
At this point, the way that Power of Friendship keeps going is just intimidating in itself. Just flops around the arena at this point, refusing to die, down to one wheel. Vapor Trail sort of just doing circles around them now. With 10 seconds left, this is going to go to the judges.
Now we've got Power of Friendship upside down, unable to self-right. They're going to be saved by the bell. But Johnny Supas of Vapor Trail very pleased with that. That could have gone either way the entire fight. Wow.
Yeah, being able to make it to the bell when you're down half your robot, you're going 2 pounds against 3, getting tossed through the air, your wires are hanging out, your front's falling off. Saved by the bell there at the last second. Impressive performance by Power of Friendship, but I do think they're going to be going home. In the 3-pound class, it is winner qualifies, and that looks like it's going to be Vapor Trail qualifying. Let's take a look at the replays. You know, in the early stages of the fight, there was a lot of control from Power of Friendship, and then the latter half of the fight, a lot of destruction coming from Vapor Trail.
It is amazing what they can do with only one damaged half of the robot. Kokoto is honestly getting to be an amazing builder at this point, building for this sort of functionality when not everything works. He knows these robots aren't going to come out unscathed. He's building to that effect, and he's driving to that effect, and yet he's still able to make it to the end of the match. That's some real talent. We're going to send it up to Richard now. He's in the pits. He's going to be able to give us a little bit of insider information.
Hey guys, welcome up to the pits once again, and as you see, what we've got here is, well, that's a lot of TPU. One of the stories of the day today has been Young Dane, and that's a lot of TPU. First time in the prime time. Congratulations, welcome. What's your journey been like?
My journey has been stressful, but at the same time, very fun. Our first matchup was hard, and it was a tough loss. Second matchup was a forfeit, leaving us 1-1. But our third matchup, I thought we were for sure losing, and somehow we won. Next, we had to go against Buzzkill, which, again, tough matchup, and again, really fun win. And I am glad to be here today.
Well, it certainly sounds like you've earned your way here, no luck needed, but now it is prime time, and you face Battletoads. What do you think about that as your first prime time matchup?
I think it is one of the harder matchups, but I do believe that we can defeat them with some luck, but also I think I have the skill to beat them.
He believes, we believe. That's a lot of TPU, and we are ready to see it in action in the 12-pound tournament. So we'll go ahead and send it back to you guys. Thanks a lot, Dane.
That's awesome. That kid's got a ton of enthusiasm.
He's really good at interviews, too. That was impressive.
That was impressive. Yeah, he's got as much enthusiasm as his bots got TPU. I cannot wait for that 12-pound bracket. And I hope he pulls off that upset victory against the Battletoads. I think he can do it. I'm voting for him.
Me too.
All right.
Kyle.
We've got a judge's decision, so let's go ahead and check that out. And yeah, no surprise there. Unanimous judge's decision for Vapor Trail. That does mean Vapor Trail is going to move on to the next round. They'll be facing off against either Repeater or Knuckle Sandwich. So we'll see how that goes.
Kyle, that was an amazing run by Kokoto, and I'm so happy for him. But it's time for our next fight. So let's go to Cage 2.
All
right
right,
to the
so
booth.
Here in Cage 2, we've got Mondo Bizarro taking on Jelly Baby, Paige Clayfield, and Brandon Nichols. Let's go to our friends in the booth to call this action.
We are excited for another 3-pound fight here. The 3-pound is our largest bracket of the day, and we are whittling down to the best of the best of the best. Jelly Baby is a great wide, low, flippy-floppy plastic lifter going up against dense Mondo Bizarro vertical beater bar. We've got our factoid here. Mondo Bizarro went 3-2 with 2 KOs at the first ever NHRL event back in December of 2018. And here they are still going. How do you think that veteran experience is going to help them here?
It's definitely going to come in. I have full faith that Mondo Bizarro was able to get this robot working at its peak, and that makes a big difference at this stage of the game.
Robots fight.
Away we go. Jelly Baby, such a good control robot.
They're going to be going for these pins here against the side. 10 seconds a pin, and they're going to try and get 30 of these in for the fight.
Mondo Bizarro, for a name like that, it's actually a really classic design. I mean, we talk about it being here for years and years, but it comes with a lot of experience behind it. Oh, look at that. Jelly Baby just flipping the opponent to its back.
Using their back to get a pin there. They're not afraid of that weapon on Mondo Bizarro. Pinning against the house robot now.
There's so much torque in the wheels of Jelly Baby that it's able to drive and just kind of push its opponent up into the air simply with the wheels acting as a lifting mechanism, not even using.
I don't know if I've seen this. This is Mondo Bizarro sort of doing the thing against Brett, the house robot, forced to request the unstick, their only unstick request of the match. If Jelly Baby can get them stuck again, that will be it. Very interesting to see the different build strategies here. Jelly Baby, all TPU, 3D printed plastic. You know, a lot of plastic in Mondo Bizarro as well, but they're using it differently. It's a very stiff, dense, solid robot.
Oh, it's funny. Jelly Baby's come so far in just a couple of years. The robots like Mondo Bizarro used to be a big challenge. They weren't able to get their architecture quite right. They couldn't do these kind of pins, get those forks under their opponent, put them against the wall, and hold them there. Oh, I don't know if you noticed this. Do you see the inscription on, we'll call it the tongue of Jelly Baby?
I did not see that.
Do the thing.
That's pretty good. A detail you can capture if you switch your stream to 4K.
Yeah, we are 4K enabled right now. We can say that now that you've missed the chance to zoom in close on Adam and I. Another great pin from Jelly Baby. They're counting down this pin. They're going to have to release it.
Having fun with the pin there. Almost.
Oh, interesting. Mondo Bizarro has stopped.
And there it is. With 34 seconds left, they're going to get a count out and a
Oh, look at it. That counts as motion, folks.
That stops the count. Can they keep doing it?
And they don't need to keep doing it. They can self-right just fine.
Mondo Bizarro gets out of the thing and spins up to full blast here with 15 seconds left, avoids the count out. They're gonna make it to the end of the fight, but Jelly Baby is gonna take this one home with a dominant, controlling victory for 3 straight minutes.
Yeah, really excellent work from Paige. She has, I didn't realize she's got 5 events under her belt. I think they're relatively distributed. It's not like she's been to the last 5 events exactly. Listen to the crowd chanting.
They like that victory. Always fun when a lifter control bot can get the crowd going like that.
We're going to head back to the desk for some more information. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Ricky. Mondo Bizarro kind of squirrely. Able to squeak out of some things.
Yeah, it's pretty wily veteran moves you saw there. Brandon's been doing this for a long time. Haven't you fought Brandon in the past?
Yeah, over a decade ago.
You fought Brandon Nichols a decade ago with Mondo Bizarro?
Yeah, he had Mondo Bizarro. It was a kit bot back in the day, and he beat me with it.
That's not a surprise. He has been a dominant force in this sport for a long time. I remember a lot of those early NHRL events. He was one of the bots to beat in that 3-pound weight class. Really, really interesting guy. And that bot, it's devastating. It's old. It's old technology, but it still works. It's still out there.
Yeah, like, he's driven it so much, he knows the little tricks. He's been stuck on his drum before. He knows how to get out of that. He's been stuck on his wheel guards before. He knows how to get out of that.
Yeah.
That's what being a veteran is. You've made all the mistakes, and now there's not that many mistakes left to make.
Absolutely. So we're going to see where they end up as far as the next bracket goes. But I will say we do have some more absolutely devastating fights coming up in the 3-pound bracket. There you see Paige. The fans like Paige, that's for sure. I love Jelly Baby, by the way. This is the best version of Jelly Baby we have seen yet. 5th event, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, for being pink and kind of soft, it's a little mean.
It's very mean. Yeah, Paige's drive style is very aggressive. It's a little bit smothering.
Yeah.
And I like that. The wheels give a lot of bounce, gives it a lot of grip onto the floor. Gives them a lot of purchase to push their opponents around. Look at this audience here for prime time, ready to go. And you can see loading into the box. I see a lot of repeating going on over there.
Oh, yes, we do. I see a couple of garnaches.
All right, so let's go up to the booth where I believe Richard has a story for us. Richard, what's going on?
Hey guys, we are back up at the pits and we are getting ready for 12-pound action. I'm here with Dawn of Huge, and you were tinkering away, and now, well, I'd say you look ready.
Yeah, ready to rock and roll.
What configuration did you go with?
We call this our squatting config. Low to the ground, have more weight in the wheels so it can tank some of Sievert's weapon attacks, and as long as we're rolling, we're going.
All right. What's the strategy for this first fight?
Just spin up as fast as possible and just hit them really hard. And hopefully something will happen. Might be a 1-minute match. Something's going to happen.
Hey, you keep it simple. Spin up as fast as possible. Hit them as hard as you can. Good luck in the tournament. We'll send it back down to you guys.
It is so nice to have the Durflers back in the building. Yeah. I love these guys so much. They always bring amazing robots, and I love it when they get big out there. That huge line is so impressive.
And really, no one does it better than that team.
Amen to that.
They've got 2 golden barrettes.
Not
with
dumpsters,
big style robots.
Barrettes. All right, so we are now ready for our next 3-pound fight. It's all Texas. This is Ryan Liu from Repeat Robotics and
Repeater.
Now, I think we might end up repeating ourselves a little bit here. So check these 2 robots out. They're going to be up against, from Repeat Robotics, Peter Garnache and
Knuckle Sandwich.
These guys came all the way out from Texas to show their stuff. I don't know how this is going to go, because normally Peter's driving the other half of Repeater.
Well, we've seen them do some weird stuff with transmitters before, but now we're going to hear from our friends in the booth.
Thank you, Sam. We are ready for this fight. You can see the signature Peter Garnache chair has been added cage side. He's a man who likes his own chair. He brings it.
He likes to sit. Everyone has their style for how they like to drive their robot. People vary. You know, you remember the memorable ones. Peter with the chair, JMO with the stance. The factoid somehow isn't about the chair, but Repeater's NHRL record at 21-4 is only undone by Knuckles Sandwich's NHRL record at 21-3.
Yeah, so, you know, you can look at that either way. Technically, Repeater has a little more experience, and Knuckles Sandwich has a little better record.
That's true.
We'll see how it works out. We've got cowboy hats aplenty in the arena right now.
3, 2, 1. Fight. Robots
Away
fight.
we go. Knuckles Sandwich getting kicked in the air almost immediately. One half of Repeater not coming out of the wings at all yet.
Repeater not having a good start to this fight.
No, I think they were stuck on a hat. Big pieces of
nothing doing on the other half. Is this an intimidation tactic?
Maybe they're running this as a true tag team match.
Oh, yeah.
That wouldn't be, that's not unlike Peter Garnache at all.
A little bit of entanglement here. Maybe that's, you know, Repeater has an exposed gyroid infill on their 3D printed armor here, which looks very cool, but is quite possibly entangled on a sharp edge on top of Knuckles Sandwich there.
Wow! Huge, huge hit.
Oh, and
half
now
Repeater going flying
is not up, and it comes back to life.
This is really interesting to see in the 3-pound class. A lot of times this. Wow!
Oh, boy!
Wow, that was a heck of a roof shot
into this fight, and it's been very close between Repeater and Knuckles Sandwich, but with one half of Repeater just completely dead in their own
And the
square.
weapon has been completely removed from Knuckles Sandwich. They've turned into a strange melty brain type robot now. Spinning in place, doing their best to fend off half of Repeater.
Now Repeater is stuck on itself, and its weapon is dislodged.
Tap out.
And there's the tap out. What an interesting fight there. As Repeater ends up getting stuck on itself. And Knuckles Sandwich, despite losing its entire front half, entire weapon bar, is going to walk away with the victory here and improve that record further. That is Knuckles Sandwich's first head-to-head win against Repeater. We're going to took the previous two.
We're going to go to the replay, get a little bit of a refresher on some of that action. You can see that hat going flying. Knuckles Sandwich was stuck up on top of it until Repeater came in and graciously freed their opponent. You can see the robots both sides and then both halves at one point of Repeater stop. Of course, one robot never started. Wow, look at that shot. I wish we could go back to that for just a moment. There it is. You can see the weapon shaft just kind of rolling away. So much flex in that chassis that it was able to free. That's a sizable bolt for a 3-pound robot. Oh, interesting.
So Knuckles Sandwich tapped out. That's interesting because the fight ended with Repeater stuck on top of themselves and with their weapon unhinged from the frame of the working robot. They weren't going to be able to spin up any longer. I wonder if Knuckles Sandwich didn't see that, but Knuckles Sandwich is tapped out and Repeater is going to take the victory. Let's go to the desk and hear their take.
I was not expecting that outcome at all. I got to tell you, I talked to those guys up in the pits before we got into primetime, and they were talking about doing a tap out right at the beginning so they didn't have to waste a bot.
I think they tricked you, Kyle.
Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, that was a banger of a fight. That was great.
Do you think if Ryan had lost one of the repeaters, he would have just picked up the second transmitter and kept going?
We saw Peter running around to the other side of the box, and it looked like he was turning his transmitter on. So I think that's exactly what was happening. If they'd lost one, they would have just brought the other one out. So I think they were weighing it towards repeater, moving on into the next round and qualifying, which I think is an interesting strategy.
And this isn't the first time, excuse me, we've seen shenanigans from them at prime time at World Champs.
That's right. When you have a tight-knit team like Repeat Robotics, they have to choose kind of who they want to kind of push forward into the next round, who they think is going to give them the best chance for victory. In this particular case, they thought Repeater was going to do it for them, it looks like, but they went ahead and gave us a show anyway. And what a show it was. That was two of the best drivers in the game. Ryan Liu, Peter Garnache, giving us an absolute banger. I was so impressed with that. That you can't complain. I am so amazed.
Well, Kyle, we've got a judge's decision that's just come in. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Unanimous decision for Jelly Baby over Mondo Bizarro.
It's so interesting. New design type, right? Flexible robot, able to take impacts, going up against a hard-shelled old-school robot. Seeing it happen right there in real time. So Paige Clayfield, congratulations, moving on into the next round. That's going to be amazing to see.
Very nice. Congrats to Paige. And big ups to Brandon Nichols for coming back with Mondo Bizarro after all these years and to keep it running for over a decade.
Amen.
Very cool.
All right, we are going to go ahead and meet our next competitors right now. First up, from Duckbots, it's Cameron Guerin and Sad Octopus. And they'll be meeting Miles Sim and
Cold Snap.
Miles is such a great driver. He's built amazing robots here, and I'm loving Cold Snap. This undercutter is a beast.
All right, we're going to send this one to Adam and Ricky in the booth to call the fight. Fellas, take it away.
Classic matchup here in an undercutter versus a vertical spinner, except with one little tweak here. Cold Snap, if you look close enough, doesn't have wheels. It has shufflers, enabling them to be bigger and heavier than opponents due to a weight bonus. They're going to come in here at 4.5 pounds in this matchup to the 3 pounds of Sad Octopus. Can Sad Octopus overcome the weight bonus and take away the victory, or will that extra weight give Cold Snap the victory?
We will find out soon enough. Sad Octopus, pretty darn good, misread that entirely. Middling record, 7-9 record, but their record today, pretty darn good. 5-0, undefeated.
Quite the run on the day. What have they changed to dial it in, and will it keep going? They've got a nice looking wedge on the front. Looks like it could be titanium, going up against the massive horizontal undercutter bar of Cold Snap. You can see those shuffler pods out wide, big wide front, not very deep. Sometimes you can see maneuverability issues with something like that, but overall Cold Snap has a 9-1 record. They are 9-0 in KOs, only losing a single judge's decision over 2 events.
2, 1, fight. Robots fight.
Go unusual. Wow, that is an immense hit.
Hit.
Stunning.
Unbelievable power in the weapon of Cold Snap, continually sending both bots flying across the arena.
Look at the consistency of these hits over and over.
The camera can't even stay still with the power of these hits. Neither robot giving up. Sad Octopus with a flurry of hits against Cold Snap. Cold Snap upside down, can't do anything.
No, it has no control, but make no mistake, that weapon is hitting hard, or at least it was until it failed just now. really struggling to spin back up. I think it's down for the count.
It looks like it is dead, and this is Sad Octopus's fight at this point. Cold Snap has no wedge, has no ability to do anything when that weapon is down. Sad Octopus trying to give Cold Snap their first ever KO loss with 2 minutes left and no defense. Cold Snap has their work cut out of them to make it to the bell.
This is something else. They're clearly working hard at it, but without a weapon, Cold Snap has no answer for Sad Octopus.
They are able now to get a little bit of control of their drive system. Sad Octopus having trouble getting under the front end, unable to get any flips in here.
For a horizontal spinner, especially a horizontal spinner with no weapon, they are remarkably controlling in this match.
Yeah, and there you can see Sad Octopus finally getting around the side, hitting those shuffler pods. Now propping Cold Snap up against Brett. It's the second time we've seen this tonight.
Oh, they're calling for the unstick and then immediately sniped by Sad Octopus.
Now that, of course, is fully allowed. The unstick request is a request to the house robot, but it does not pause the fight. They have used that request, so if they get stuck again, that would be it.
The durability on display from Cold Snap right now is staggering.
It looks like it's entirely in one piece. You're not seeing any flexure to the frame. The shuffler pods are holding up, and they're a hat!
They are a hat, ladies and gentlemen. Robot friends of all varieties. We love it when they're a hat.
They almost went from being a hat to doing the thing, but they just slid off the front of Brett that second time. With 28 seconds left, Cold Snap is really aiming to get to the bell. Once we hit 20 seconds, there won't be enough time for the count out. And Cold Snap is going to avoid their first ever KO loss, but is most likely in for another judge's decision
loss. Look at that hook. The weapon is stuck on the rabbit ear of Sad Octopus.
Now
they're going to do-si-do for a moment, and that will be the end of your fight. What a fun match.
Wow. It was amazing seeing Cold Snap take those hits again and again and again. The weapon went out early, but the drive kept going for the duration of 3 minutes of punishment. We saw a back and forth battle there at the beginning, and then it was all Sad Octopus for about 2.5 minutes.
What a fight. I really have to give it to Cold Snap. The durability of that robot was fantastic. Yes, the weapon went down, but I don't think they slowed down an iota. They were pushing, they were trying to control, they were showing the level of aggression that's possible to control or possible to show when you have a weapon down.
Yeah,
Bravo.
they were being aggressive. They stayed in it. It didn't work out. Oh, the weapon came back.
Wow, and remember, folks, that does matter. When you do your test at the end of a fight to show your functionality, that's when it matters. It will make a difference, obviously, in other ways if your weapon has been down for the duration of the fight. But if it works at the end of the fight, your opponent doesn't get points for disabling.
That will change the judge's decision. Let's throw it back to the desk and hear what they think.
Sad Octopus.
Yeah, Cameron did a phenomenal job in that matchup. The weapon was just reliable. He owned it, and I think he's going to earn himself a chance to go up against Paige Clayfield and Jelly Baby, a control bot with 8 career knockouts.
But that was so aggro from Sad Octopus. I did not see that coming. That aggression was just through the roof.
It's been building all day with them. We've been seeing them get more and more confident in the box, and now when they finally make it into the bracket, into prime time, they turn it on.
All right, well, here's the 12-pound bracket, and at the top, well, that's a lot of TPU, and they're going to be going up against the Multibot Battle Tots. Ooge is taking on Sievert. And Maximizer is going to take on Carolina Reaper. At the bottom, Caldera 12 and Torrent is a match for the ages. Such a classic horizontal versus vertical matchup. But Kyle, let's meet our first competitors.
That's right. We got Dane Hardy representing D2 Robotics, and
that's a lot of TPU.
Oh, yeah, and their opponent from Team Pandemonium. That's right. It's Ariel and Battle Tots. Look at these little guys. They're ready for action.
They just keep passing those transmitters around at Team Pandemonium. We can't keep the driver straight, but we are going to head to the booth to call this fight.
Thank you, Sam. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think That's a Lot of TPU has really surprised a lot of folks. Not only is it a glutton for punishment, but it's really able to do a good job controlling its opponents. And Battle Tots, they are always fun.
Yeah, they've really dialed in the design on This Is a Lot of TPU, considering this is their first event. They're 3-1 today.
Yeah, Dane Harday, the driver here on That's a Lot of TPU, having an excellent day.
Now, it's difficult for a robot like That's a Lot of TPU to take on a multi-bot as they leave themselves exposed from behind.
That was a lot of plastic sheared off that robot from a relatively small hit.
That's a bit less TPU in the arena.
That TPU has become a literal doorstop.
As half of Battle Tots is now propped up on the debris.
Oh, this is interesting.
Oh!
Incredible.
Shove one half of the multi into the other.
Excellent driving.
And now one half, it looks like Battle Tots was having trouble there.
It's just amazing how big That's a Lot of TPU can be.
It's tremendous, their driving ability in this fight. It's making Battle Tots look like two individual robots. They're just not fighting as a team, as That's a Lot of TPU is just picking out which one it wants to go after, and they're having no say.
Ooh, but then you get big hits like that. Just a quick piercing strike and something gets sheared off of That's a Lot of TPU.
Yeah, and this is got to be careful here as Battle Tots getting around behind.
You see that bulge at the back of That's a Lot of TPU. That is a weak point. You couldn't get any more video game-esque. There's a big glaring X. Hit me here.
Look at this. That's a Lot of TPU seems to be crab walking a bit.
Yeah, it's having a hard time getting contact on the right-hand side, and one of those wheels is not spinning nearly as well as the other.
The front right wheel looks to be down, but they're getting a pin here, and they're able to release, leaving one half of Battle Tots stuck. That is huge. They're going to try and unstick themselves here, as That's a Lot of TPU is going to try and come out and make them hit each other again.
Yeah, it's quite a strategy, and it's been working remarkably well so far.
44 seconds left in this fight, as That's a Lot of TPU still able to control this with really only one half of their drive. They're forcing Battle Tots to take the unstick, as they are both stuck now.
What a matchup. Really just strange dynamics at play when you get two multi-bots going up against the weight class's biggest competitor, at least for this
All the robots
this
in the
event.
arena having driving issues, as with 15 seconds left, it looks to me almost like That's a Lot of TPU's batteries are going dead.
It is certainly struggling. It may have overheated. It may have done a lot of things. All I know is it's having a hard time moving.
That is a hard fight to judge. A lot of damage at the end there, functionally. All the robots are fairly in one piece. I mean, there's bits and bobs of TPU all over, but the chassis are whole. The wheels are all attached. The weapons are all working, but everything a bit slower at the end of that fight.
Oh, you can see the weapon is working on That's a Lot of TPU. That will certainly help them.
This is a close fight.
Oh, look at that. That is such an interesting design choice. That is ablative armor. You can see that it was simply hot glued in place with like a dovetail joint. That is meant to rip off. I wonder if the judges know about that. We judge ablative armor a little bit differently.
I like to say all the parts on my robot are ablative.
In some ways.
Doesn't always count. Let's take a look at the replay, see where those ablative pieces were torn off. You can see That's a Lot of TPU early, losing that fork, but just able to control so much of this fight. Battletoads at the end able to come back a bit, deliver some hits, but just That's a lot. TPU did not give up.
Not in the least. However, I don't know that it did enough to cinch the victory either.
I don't know that anyone did enough to cinch the victory here.
I would agree with you. For a control bot, that's a lot of TPU. Didn't control that much, and for hard, aggressive robots, Battletoads didn't deliver either. Neither one on their A game. We're going to have to see who delivered better, and that's up to the judges. In the meantime, we're headed back to the desk.
Whew. That was close. That was much closer than I honestly thought it would be. I gotta hand it to Dane Hardy, keeping the driving going even when he was losing drive. He got some really good hits by making them hit each other. And that first half, he was really controlling the pace of that fight in so many ways.
And it just seemed like he just didn't have the oomph to take it all the way to the end. Maybe when that front right wheel got locked up, it started to really drain on his battery or something.
All right, we do have a judge's decision for our previous fight, the last fight that we saw in the 3-pound bracket. And that's right, no surprise there. By unanimous decision, the aggressively driven, sad Octopus Cameron pulling out the win there by a huge margin.
Very nice. Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to go up to the pits with Richard. Richard, what do you got for us, buddy?
Hey guys, I've got a post-fight interview for you. How about that? I've got Ryan and Peter of Repeater. Gentlemen, that was interesting to say the least, but now that you're out of each other's way and the focus turns to the Golden Dumpster, how are we preparing for the next fight?
Man, we got 4 more working robots. We took this one in knowing that it was going to get totaled. And I'm going to say that Knuckle Sandwich has never been hit that hard, and Repeater has never been hit that hard before that fight. So, and at the end of it, Repeater was still cooking. So,
yeah, it's awesome to fight against Knuckle Sandwich at its full power. I'm kind of sad I had to do that with one robot, but it could stand its ground. It was a ton of fun.
What did you guys think when the bracket came out and you saw that matchup initially?
Not again. There were a lot of iterations that we could do to get that fight forward, but I'm glad it was just a 1v1 bare knuckle brawl.
every single open qualifier that we've gone to, Knuckle Sandwich and Repeater have been seated in the top quartile, which means only one of us can ever qualify. And we have, actually Knuckle Sandwich has lost a single fight at NHRL that is not to Repeater. It's lost to Repeater 3 or 4 times now. It's just every single time I get here, I can't get out of its way.
Well, there were some that would call that last fight shenanigans. Your thoughts?
I was giving it 100%. I think Peter was too. Shenanigans, I don't know.
I thought it was pretty fun, man. I had a good time.
It was very fun.
All right, guys. Well, no shenanigans up here. We're going to send it back to you guys.
I thought that fight was an absolute banger. I thought it would be more shenanigans than it was.
Yeah.
I did wish that we got to see the red one get used during the fight. You know what I mean?
That would have been really cool.
It would have been
to see the transmitter swap and everything.
I would have loved that. But yes, and it sat on the chair. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where it goes.
On that transmitter table right over there.
So we are getting the box ready for more big robot action. We're going our way through the 12-pound division. We're still waiting on a judge's decision for Battletoads versus That's a Lot of TPU. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I really, really want That's a Lot of TPU to win that matchup by the judge's decision. I don't know if my feelings are getting in the way there. I don't know if I want the underdog to win.
It would be nice. But I don't know if the numbers are in their favor.
Yeah.
They didn't really do any damage to the Battletoads. They had them high-centered on occasion, half of them here and there. But as far as control and aggression go, I don't know.
Before we jump into this next fight, we do have the judge's decision ready to go. Let's see what it is. That's right, your winner by a very tight margin, Battletoads. Congratulations, Team Pandemonium, moving on into the semifinal round. That's going to be awesome. Battletoads doing phenomenally today. Congratulations, by the way, to That's a Lot of TPU. You drove very well today.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see you guys come back with big orange robots. But now, let's go ahead and meet our next competitors. And they're kind of a big deal. That's right. Oh, nope, this is the wrong one. They are a big deal.
Yeah.
Those guys, big deal. MIT,
We'll get
they
back
know
to
what's
them
up.
later, though.
We're going to get back to them later. They're still around. You're going to see them, and it's going to be great. But right now we're doing 12-pound action. And, yeah, it is kind of a big deal.
Yes, it's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. So we're getting ready for this next fight. The winner of this fight will go on to face Battle Tots in the next round. And, yeah, both of them have a pretty good shot against Battle Tots, I'll go ahead and say.
Ooh. All right. Here we go. For
So
real
here we
this
go.
time, Kyle.
So representing Brutus Robotics, it's Don Dorfler.
And huge.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? Huge. And they're going up against Team Pandemonium. It's Matt Lantry and
Sievert.
This is the kryptonite for a huge style robot. It is a very powerful horizontal spinner driven by a master.
All right, we are going to send it to Adam and Ricky to call this fight. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sam. I am pretty darn excited for this fight. I've spoken to both teams. I was a little bit surprised. I also thought, you know, Sievert is the kryptonite to a robot like Huge. They're not worried at all. They're going into this confident. This is Huge's first NHRL Open since its third place seeding at the World Championships in 2023. They're going to see if they can beat that this time around.
Wow, Sievert is coming out and showing their power. They've been the most powerful horizontal spinner in the 12-pound class today.
The weapon,
and they are tearing it up.
I got to comment immediately, the weapon not spinning on Huge, at least not to begin with. It's going now, though. Boy, it's going now.
Got a massive chunk of armor on the front weapon hub of Sievert that so far is holding up.
They are taking pieces and pieces. Look at that front armor package that Sievert has added. That is a thicker piece of pink plastic on the front of the robot, guarding the front of their robot.
Neither robot afraid to go head to head here, and we are getting hit after hit.
That's what Huge needs to work on. He's getting their opponent to hit the arena walls.
Of course, Sievert trying to hit the wheels.
Oh my goodness.
They did.
Right-hand side of drive is down on Huge, and that weapon is bent. It's got a nasty curve to it.
Ironically, I think that's allowing them to spin, because if it was straight, I think it'd be hitting the floor.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. That curve may be saving them right now.
The wheels are just getting chewed up bit by bit. Now you can see that weapon is hitting the floor, depending on how the wheels land.
Yeah, those, wow, what a
these
bounce.
gyro moves, and that is not good for Sievert, exposing the base plate. They have to be really careful.
Oh, and Sievert stops for a moment, and a moment again. They are just barely moving. There's been some real damage to the inside of that robot.
And now the weapon is down with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. What is wrong with Sievert?
When you see that happen, two seemingly independent systems, that can be a battery down, that can be a critical electronics error.
1 minute left, and I think we're going to see a count out here.
We
Ricky.
are. Huge is going to take this as the power systems.
Are they going to request an unstick? They can do it. There it is. That'll give them a little bit more time here. Maybe the electronics can reset, you know, turn it off and on again. I saw a little bit of a movement there. Sievert inching along just enough to avoid the count, but they got to keep it going.
That electric system is just on the cusp of death.
I can see it wobbling. That's not enough. I think something is dead or overheated, and that is unfortunate for them. Huge taking it home, making it to the top four.
Huge always has in its back pocket this bonus strategy of feed your opponent a lot of plastic. It's something that works out far more than you'd expect. Just keep throwing yourself over and over and over again at your opponent. It doesn't matter if you come out mangled. If your opponent overheats and is dead in the water, that's it. We're going to go to the
really
replay.
earned that victory, taking it to Sievert. Sievert had so much power, looked like they were dominating, unable to make it the full distance of time, unable to fully knock out Huge. That's the name of the game, and Sievert unable to complete it. Massive, massive hits. They're going to come out of the arena unscathed, but inoperable and with a loss, while Huge is coming out practically in a body bag.
Yeah, it's coming out in pieces, but ironically, it was time and exposure levels to Huge that did in Sievert and not the other way around.
That is the difference. 7 events for Huge, veteran competitors, only the 2nd event for Sievert. They'll dial that in over time, but the durability is the name of the game, and Sievert unable to take it to the bell. Let's hand it over to the desk. Sam and Kyle, how you feeling after that one?
The Durflers pulling it out with the durability there. The weapon was potato chip, the wheels were in chunks, and somehow they remained and moved and made it all the way to the count out at the end.
Kyle, I just saw Don running with Huge across to the stairs to get back to the pits because he has some serious repairs to do on that robot.
Only 20 minutes, really. Like, that's the minimum amount of time that you have to do that work is 20 minutes. And he could very well only have 20 minutes to do that, depending on how the next couple of rounds go. It's fascinating. Listen. They've done these kinds of repairs before. It's a very experienced team. The Brutus Robotics boys, the Durfler brothers, know what they're doing.
They sure
but that is a tall order, a big order, if you will.
A huge order. And we are going to head up to the pits to see what Richard has lined up for us. How's it going, Richard?
It is going great, guys. It's prime time, and we've got another pre-fight interview with Joe of Dead Rise. You're getting ready for Waddles, and you've got not one, but 2 bots here. Walk me through this.
Yeah, so Waddles is a modular robot. They can swap out for an undercutter module or an egg beater very quickly. And as somebody that runs TPU on a lot of their robots, that's terrifying. So we have 2 setups today. We are ready to go in both of them. At a moment's notice, we could power up, take our undercutter assembly or our egg beater assembly. And we've fought with them before. We're really confident in both setups, so we're just watching them closely and hopefully choose the right configuration.
Well, you've got the right spot to do it. The college teams, though, could meet in the final, but obviously you have a chance to play spoiler. Your thoughts?
We're just trying to mix things up. We came here to party, and we got 2 bots ready to go. No more pairs the rest of the night. We're here to party.
Thanks. I hate it. No, I'm just kidding, man. All right, back to you guys at the desk.
Here to party, indeed.
I like the
tune.
tune.
That extended wedge setup on that thing?
Yeah, it reminded me kind of Megatron, actually.
Right, but Megatron's like not a vertical spinner. It makes sense for them to be using that. That's a fascinating strategy for a vert.
Well, maybe you use it until it blows off, and then you have a fresh weapon ready to go up against your opponent who's already hit some tough metal a few times.
All right, we are ready for the next fight, and this one, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a little bit of a repeat in a strange way. All right, so we have from Team Defective, it is the last man standing from Team Defective, Jake Hoffman and Maximizer. They're going to be taking on Mark Harrison and his big-wheeled robot, the Carolina Reaper. I am so excited about this matchup. Let's go to our friends in the play-by-play booth to call this action.
Thank you, Kyle. This is going to be another fun fight. Frankly, we don't have a lot of not fun fights today. I am really interested to see what can Carolina Reaper bring out today.
Well,
they have had struggle after struggle at it.
They've brought some really great hats, I can tell you that much. They have had some issues with the robot. The drive has not looked as durable, as reliable as I would want to see it going up against a bot like Maximizer.
No, you need every bit of reliability to go up against Maximizer.
Maximizer 11th ranked in the class. This is their 10th event, coming in 29-8.
Impressive work. Now, I will say this, Maximizer's usual strategy is just flat out not going to work against Reaper. They got to come up with something new. And, you know, just ramming the armor plate into your opponent, that's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah, they're getting a bunch of shots here, taking out that little wheelie bar. And then, whoa, a gyro dance across the floor. Maximizer doing its thing, coming in and thwacking, avoiding the weapon while able to hit the wheels. Carolina Reaper just running away at this point. Not very well controlled without those wheelie bars.
No, but Adam, look closely. The weapon assembly, we'll call it, on the back Maximizer already tweaked.
Ooh.
Another couple hits like that, and that robot is not going to be able to spin its weapon.
Well, I think they're going to be okay because Carolina Reaper's weapon is no longer operational and has stopped spinning.
Yeah, I think you're right. We'll see if it can revive, but I don't have a lot of faith with some of the gremlins that Carolina Reaper has been facing down throughout the course of this event.
This is Carolina Reaper's second event. They're 3-3 overall.
Yeah, they're coming all the way up from North Carolina. As the name might imply, you figure it's one of the two Carolinas. And right now, they are a little more than in a cat's toy in the arena as Maximizer bats them around. Maximizer not even running the weapon half the time. It doesn't need to. And sometimes it's advantageous to keep that in reserve. Now no motion from Carolina Reaper.
Oh, and
they've
that's
tapped out. That's the end of your fight. Carolina Reaper going to be headed home. Maximizer moving on one step closer to today's Golden Dumpster.
Maximizer has already qualified for the finals. If Carolina Reaper had won, they would have qualified. That's going to open up a spot. The highest ranking losing robot is going to qualify, which will be Torrent.
We're going to go to a replay, see how they got to this point, see these big hits coming in. You can see that is just one great tail wag. We call these Thagomizer style robots. That's because of that tail. A big spiky tail is actually called a Thagomizer. And yeah, that is exactly what you're seeing today. These big hits coming in from the side, disabling, tearing apart enemies. Perfect design execution. Jake has to be feeling happy.
What a fight. And the chain of events here now, because Maximizer's won that, but all have already qualified. That means Torrent is going to qualify. Torrent has a fight coming up against Caldera 12, which is also already qualified, meaning that Battletots has also now qualified for the championships later this year.
What a chain of dominoes that is, but you are correct. We're going to head back to the desk and hear what they have to say about it. Take it away, guys.
The last man standing from Team Defective, Jake Hoffman. I talked to him last night. I'll bet you did too. Yeah. He wasn't feeling good about this competition. He was feeling a little bit unsure of his robot. He was a little bit unsure of himself. What did that result in? Devastating hits and fantastic driving and really creative strategies all day long. This is an excellent version of Maximizer, and I think it could go pretty far today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on who's left in the 12-pound class that could maybe stop him in his tracks.
All right,
and
so we are ready for our next 12-pound battle. It is going to be absolutely epic. So, a classic matchup. That's right, from Team 2, Hot to Handle, it's going to be the guy everybody likes, Glenn Boxall and Caldera 12. And they'll be taking on Kevin Biagini representing Team, have I heard this before? Pandemonium. That's right.
Yeah.
And Torrent. Let's go to our friends in the play-by-play booth to call this classic action.
Both these robots have been on the ball today. Sometimes they're hit and miss, but today, not the case. Tremendous power from both of these heavy hitters today. Torrent coming in ranked 9, 23, and 13 overall, going up against Caldera 12, ranked 10, 20, and 15. Both Torrent and Caldera 12 are ranked in the top 25 of all 12-pound bots at NHRL. Both of these robots are also now qualified for the championships later this year. This fight is for who gets the chance to go and try and take that dumpster tonight.
And that cash prize to go with it. And of course, the pride and prestige that comes with being an event winner here at NHRL. I want to note, it is amazing just how high these two robots have climbed. Even today, they've made headway in the rankings just over the course of this particular event by tearing through competitor after competitor. It's been a pretty packed schedule of 12-pounders today. So I am very, very impressed. Both of these robots very dialed in, just immense examples of the 12-pound weight class.
Tor is a great-looking vertical spinner with a wide sort of Drisk type weapon at the front, and it's long, a bit narrower than we usually see these days. And you see a shape like that, you think it's going to come out, it's going to have dry row issues, it's not going to drive too great. It drives amazingly well. We've seen tremendous control out of it today. And on the other side, we've got Caldera 12, a classic horizontal spinner with the geometry just completely dialed in. That thing is a beast. Of course, based on the 3-pound Caldera, scaled up to the 12-pound weight class. Those the bars and the frame that hold the weapon in place are made out of extremely thick carbon fiber plates. It's a beautifully made robot, really nice to see, and when it is working, it is a hard hitter and tough to beat. Both of these robots are classic vert versus horizontal spinner here, and this is going to be a fun one once they're able to get going. There's a little bit of a hold up inside of the cage here. Some discussions happening. Not sure why they're not turning it on. Crowd getting pumped up. They're excited. Are you excited, Ricky?
I am excited, and I'm excited about the energy that we have in the building right now. These, again, can't stress enough, these are heavy-hitting robots. These robots are going to go flying. I think the crowd at a certain point can just sense it. They know what's coming.
We've got a sold-out, packed house here. If I were to guess, probably about 5, maybe 10,000 people in the arena bowl here cheering on this fight.
It's absolutely electric.
Yeah, I have been told I am not the best at estimating numbers, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, it can't be that low. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But they're excited to see this one. 12-pound class today has been brutal.
It really has, but we've seen so many dialed-in robots. We are going to head up to Richard. I think he's got a little info for us. Richard, what can you tell us?
Well, guys, right now I'm up in the pits with one of the members of Pandemonium. I know there's so many, but we've got Battle Tots here. It's Ariel and Tim, and that was a classic fight against That's a Lot of TPU. And now, as you can see, they're tinkering away, getting ready for their next one. Your thoughts on the last fight?
We really thought they had it, and now we're prepping because we weren't expecting to take so much damage from a control bot either.
What was the preparation like for a bot like That's a Lot of TPU?
Well, we had a lot of time to prep before prime time, so we just kind of ran our normal config.
Yeah, it was mostly talking about strategy. We were running the same front configurations as we had been for a couple other fights, but yeah, we were trying to talk a lot about strategy and figure out, you know, how we're going to coordinate, not both getting stuck at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, best of luck in your next fight. Congratulations on making it this far. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you, Richard. I love that little bit of insight. It gets me hyped for the next Battle Tots fight just a little bit later in the day. But we've got this wonderful 12-pound match to make our way through as soon as we are cleared to start. I'm seeing some thumbs up. I'm hearing some clears and readies to go. I think we're going to have a fight on our hands momentarily, Adam.
This is an exciting one.
Look at the damage to the front of Caldera's weapon. There's some big chunks taken out of that big steel.
2,
Tough day of weapon hits for them. There'll be some more in store. Both robots spin up to full speed out of the gate, doing a little dance here. Wow! Torrent sending Caldera across the arena, and Caldera's weapon is stuck.
That is not where they want to be. That is a lot of bend. Yeah, they are caught up on their own chassis member.
The weapon has potato chipped so bad it can't spin. You can see Glenn Boxell there inspecting his robot, deciding if he wants to keep going. He's already qualified.
He looks on the fence. He's got a little bit of a nod, a shake. He's nodding to his opponent. Yeah, go for it.
Hit
Why
me
not?
again, I think maybe that's
Look
what
at
he's
this,
saying.
though. The front armor package on Torrent is caught up. It's almost in the way of the weapon.
Yeah, they're not really able to drive and deliver that hit as that TPU is flexed over the front frame. You can see that dovetail sort of coming disconnected there.
And Caldera able to flip their opponent upside down. What a twist of fate that is.
This is why you never quit. You never know what's going to happen as Torrent now unable. They're stuck against Flo.
We are having some strange fights today, folks. This is a real, I'm hearing a count out.
Yeah, they're going to have to request the unstick here. There's the request.
There's the request, and then they just flail themselves into the arena wall again, and they're stuck. Caldera.
I guess they were still within the time limit for the unstick, but are they still stuck? Are they just dead now?
I think they're going to be, but of course they haven't moved yet, so the unstick continues.
Wow.
This is what we lovingly like to call whack-a-doodle.
Caldera just spinning around in circles as Torrent, I believe, is going to be counted out here. I don't know if this is enough movement or not as they sort of wiggle across the arena here.
Yeah, and their weapon is slowing down, speeding up. It's not helping them any.
There's the count.
That's going to be the end of the match, and Caldera, with the most tacoed we've ever seen that weapon, is going to walk their way to the oddest victory I've ever seen.
I gotta say, that is not how I was expecting that fight to go, as Glenn Boxell was calling to Kevin Biagini on the other side.
I got lucky.
Look at that.
Oh, damn. My weapon is big to shit. That's why I got no weapon. I hit my battery.
Man, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Of course, today, Glenn is both of those things.
Wow.
But it's the luck that will take him on to the next round.
You make your own luck. He put himself in the situation where he could have luck. A lot of people would see that potato chip weapon and their opponent spinning up across the arena, and they'd hit that tap out button.
Okay.
I think you're gonna be on. I think you're gonna be on the stream.
This is fantastic. Kelly Bitterman, our wonderful CEO here, bringing in Brian Boxell, Glenn Boxell's son and teammate on Too Hot to Handle. The pride here and just the father-son connection is so heartwarming. Is Glenn going to be alerted to his son's presence? No, he has a robot to go fix.
He's got to fix that weapon. Kelly's trying to catch
Kelly's
up with
bringing him in. Here's the moment, folks. He still doesn't know. This is beautiful.
He's got to talk to the fans.
Any moment now.
Let's take a look at the replays here.
Big hits. Look at that. Big hit after big hit. That was the taco moment where that weapon blade is bent up just inside the chassis member, unable to spin.
But it
Glenn
was
yelling, finish me off.
The same moment that the front armor of Torrent got stuck against their wheel and did them in. We said something about his battery. I wonder if he's just drawing insane current trying to spin that. Let's hop over to Richard, see who he's got a hold of in the pits.
Oh, I got a good one for you guys up here. The one and only Jake of Maximizer, who was closely watching that last fight outcome. It might not be the final match tonight, but you still get Glenn of Caldera. Your thoughts?
I get to fight Glenn in a semifinal match again. Okay. Glenn beat me like about a year ago, and I made a litany of improvements to kind of get back at him, and I finally got back at him back in February, so now I got to fight him again. Strategy's going to be similar. I haven't, even though I won the fight, there's some changes that I want to make to improve upon it. You know, always looking to squeeze a little bit more performance out of my machine. I'm speccing my blade a little bit higher than usual so that I'm like truly impacting the sides and not kind of sliding under like I was last time. So,
was there any heavy damage sustained in the last fight that you have to fix right now?
No.
Okay, all right, we're going to get ready for Caldera 12 and Maximizer, Jake versus Glenn. Back to you guys.
This is going to be the third matchup between Maximizer and Caldera 12. They've been 1-1, knockout for knockout against each other. The rubber match is coming up in the next round. So excited to see that matchup.
All right, let's take a look at this 30-pound bracket as we move into the next round of primetime. And we've got, coming up, Ares, the vertical spinner out of MIT, and Colossal Avian, the hard-hitting hammer saw. And at the bottom, we've got Waddles from WPI, the modular, sometimes vert, sometimes horizontal hard hitter, and Dead Rise, the true vert four-wheel drive, the meta.
So it is almost time to announce the first matchup in that semifinal bracket. Let's go ahead and meet our competitors. First up, that's right, from Team MIT, it is Ryan Duarte and Ares. This team has been on fire all year. They are not giving up their shot at a golden dumpster today. And they will be facing, from Colossal Robotics, it's Matthew Zhang and Colossal Avian. Overhead attack bot, four-wheel drive, tons of power, and knockout punches. We've been seeing it all day from them, and I can't wait to see how they fare against this team from MIT.
All right, these bots are getting switched on, and we are going to switch to the play-by-play booth, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sam. We are going to jump right in here. Ares from Ryan Duarte, coming from Cambridge, Massachusetts. A beater bar design with just an incredible amount of power behind that weapon and an impressive 18-7 record. Going up against Colossal Avian from Matthew Zhang, all the way out from California. A hammer saw with precision chaos raining down from above. A 6-3 record. Nothing to be trifled with. This is going to be a matchup of raw aggression and pure power going up against precision and perfect timing. Who can pull it off? We're going to find out right now.
This is the third event for Colossal Avian and the seventh for Ares. Ares and Colossal Avian both get better every time. They have been getting dialed in, and they look completely different from the first time we saw either of these robots. Both extremely dangerous. Colossal Avian with a beautiful hit in their last fight. Precision after a minute and a half, dialing it in and nailing their opponent's speed controller and starting a fire. Will we see that here?
Robots fight.
The front end working really well out of the gate. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Hit after hit. Ares surprisingly keeping their weapon dialed down. Oh, great move from Colossal Avian.
There you go.
That's the control. Man, what a blow for a blow. And look, this is the perfect moment for Colossal Avian to land.
Oh, they're trying to rearrange here.
No, look here. That keep away stick is lodged in the front of Ares.
Yeah, well, they could get the hit here, right? And that would dislodge it, no?
Maybe. It would be worth a shot. But they're
not to take it.
I would agree with you. I'm surprised that they're not taking it. But
did the arm malfunction? I don't know. I would have expected a shot to happen there.
Well, the thing is, if the referees call for an unstick, rather, You got to do that unstick when you're asked.
I guess, but had it been 10 seconds?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to say. They might just be trying to do what the referees are telling them to do. We're not cage side.
At this point,
here.
certainly it's paused for a separation. Happened off sort of quickly there. Surprising not to see them come down with the weapon before the end of the count. We might get to see the precision safety crowbar here.
Oh, I think the safety crowbar is coming out. Now, this is something we are very exacting on how this is handled. The competitors need to make sure that their weapons are disabled. We need robot handlers going in who are ready, because both of these weapons are primed and ready to start spinning, so they have to be very careful that you're not putting yourself in harm's way when the arena doors are open and robots are active. It's a very tense moment, and it's why you see this work here, these crowbars being put in the middle of the weapon chassis, so even if it were to try to start spinning, it wouldn't be able to do any damage. It would get blocked immediately.
Yeah, you'll see them disconnected here. A piece of Colossal Avian's giveaway fork seems to be stuck, but they're separated now. They're not going to flip Ares back over, just separate them from the fork. Interestingly, Colossal Avian seems to have overhead attack armor on.
Yeah,
Very
that's a
thick.
great observation. I hadn't noticed that. They don't run this for every fight. I gotta wonder if that's, maybe they just had the extra weight to run it because they don't need to run a plow, or maybe they really think that's somewhere they're going to get hit.
Interestingly, Colossal Avian now backing off. I would have thought they'd restart close to the position they ended in, but I guess not. But yeah, I wonder if they're just sort of, you have the way, you can always have Ares falling from the sky on top of you. We've seen that happen before.
It's not even unusual at this point, Adam. These robots go flying, and you have no idea where they're going to land. You could probably do the math out. There's only so much square footage, and the robot is X size. It's going to land in one spot or another. You've got to understand the probabilities at play. This match is going to start up again any moment now, but this is always a tense moment for the competitors because you don't know what kind of state your robot's in when you restart. You have to be ready that first moment of the match to pivot on the condition of your robot.
Yeah, what is or isn't wrong with Ares after that encounter? Whenever something gets jammed up, it can overheat something if you don't turn off your weapon and drive fast
I'm getting
enough.
word from, I'm getting word from Cage side. Ares is unable to move right now. They are disabled.
Wow.
So they're wanting to know, can they get an unstick before the match begins, essentially?
So they've requested the unstick.
And they were not able to get it before the match starts, but basically at the start of the match.
But are they stuck or are they broken?
No, it seems that they're broken and they're just
weapon
broken in such a way that the wheels weren't able to touch the ground.
Interesting.
Now Colossal Avian's on its head, and they're not able to use their weapon.
And it does look like the weapon arm on Colossal Avian is unable to move, and perhaps why they weren't able to get that hit earlier.
We've seen Colossal Avian self-right. We've seen the house robot able to right a Colossal Avian from this position before. They're a flexy, weird robot, so it is possible, but it's a little bit luck of the draw.
Yep. See, Ares kind of waiting here just in case, but it looks like, if anything, Colossal Avian is maybe more stuck.
Yeah, it's far from a guarantee that the robot's going to be able to right itself.
And Flo has given up on the attempt. They have outlasted the time limit. Colossal Avian is going to be counted out.
Tap out.
They're going to tap out before the count out. And Ares wins a weird one.
Yeah, very, very strange. Certainly hard won, but not in the way that you would usually think.
Yeah, I think Ares is going to have to show more than that in the final if they want to take home a golden dumpster, but able to pull out the victory here after Colossal Avian unable to deliver their weapon, unable to self-right. Let's take a look at the replays. Some quick hits early on, possibly what did in the weapon here, as it was working early.
Yeah, that's quite a chain of blows, and although no individual hit was that big, any hit from Ares is going to be damaging.
Looks almost like the hub protection of Colossal Avian might be bent in a bit. Hard to tell, but whatever happened, they were unable to deliver the arm and that spinning weapon into Ares when they got the pin. Ares is able to pull out the victory, flipping over Colossal Avian after they themselves were able to be flipped over by the house robot.
Yeah, just a strange sequence of events, but I'm sure that the Ares team is going to take that, not look a gift horse in the mouth, and be excited to move on to the next stage of the bracket tonight at the NHRL May qualifying event. We're going to head back to the desk now, and they're going to take us into the next fight. Guys, how's it going?
All right, I do want to make a quick announcement. We have official bots that have qualified in the 12-pound bracket now. Officially, Battletots, Huge, Torrent, and Sievert have all qualified for the World Championships at the end of the season. Can't wait to see them there.
Look at Huge right now. They've got their new wheels on. I'm sure they've got a new blade on. And that was about it, really. Their wheels took some big hits, lost some chunks. That weapon ended up looking like a U instead of an I.
That is going to be absolutely easy peasy for them. We've seen this team do a lot worse on a lot less sleep in the past. They're going to be just fine. I can tell you that right now. All right, so we do have more 30-pound action in the semi-final rounds coming your way. We're going to see who will face Ares in the final. I am very excited to see that. So I believe our competitors are ready right now. But in the meantime, we've got a bot that has actually succeeded earlier this year at another competition here in the Northeast called Motorama. Dead Rise, their first competition was at Motorama. They were able to pull out 3rd place, taking on many classic competitors in this weight class. Very difficult thing to do.
But Kyle, do you know about the configuration game?
Oh, they have quite an interesting configuration game. Dead Rise is playing a configuration game where they don't know exactly which style of bot they're going to run against Waddles. Waddles has the ability to be a vertical spinner or a horizontal undercutter. There's 2 very different armor packages that you would use against those 2 styles of robots. So, on the other side, you have Dead Rise with 2 fully formed bots ready to go. One is set up to fight against the vert, one is set up to fight against the undercutter.
And so, we will see which both of these teams ended up choosing in just about right now.
Just about right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, representing Team WPI, it is Connor Howard and his bot, Waddles. It's just a waddly little guy. Oh, and they've gone vert, ladies and gentlemen. It's been successful the last couple of fights. I see why they did it.
I think that's what I would have picked.
And they are up against, from Cryptid Robotics, it's Joe Copenhaver. That's right, Dead Rise.
Oh, snazzy little bot flip there. And it looks like he definitely went with the vertical config to fight his vertical config opponent. I'm glad there wasn't too many config wars, and we are going to head to the booth with Ricky and Adam.
Quite an interesting matchup here. Waddles likes to keep their config private. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape here. Waddles from Connor Howard out of Worcester, Massachusetts. A modular weapon, 23-9 at NHRL. Their skill, weapon flexibility, going up against Dead Rise from Joe Copenhaver out of Lexington Park, Maryland. They are a pure vertical spinner. 3-1, this is their first competition. Their skill, tireless research of their opponents. Now the thing about Waddles, it has this modular weapon. It doesn't like to let its opponents know what they're going to use. They have a habit of putting the robot in a box before the fight, going up to the front booth. They'll show safety what's in there. They won't show their opponent, and you just sort of have to guess at what you're going to go with. Dead Rise here has guessed correctly. They have the vertical, anti-vertical armor package on. Waddles going with the vertical arrangement here. Who do you think is going to win this config battle, as they both have sort of the optimum config for each other here?
Well, I have to say, I think that Dead Rise is going to be, we'll say, the advantaged robot in terms of configuration. I think they've got a lot going for them in terms of their weapon geometry and just general robot build. That said, Waddles is a really tough robot. So the question to me is more about, is that going to be enough? Even if they brought the right stuff, even if they have the advantage of the right geometry and everything else, is that going to be enough to get them a win against a robot that's as dialed in as Waddles?
Waddles, 8 events. The first event
5,
for Dead Rise
4,
at NHRL.
3,
I have
2,
to think Waddles is going to take this one.
Fight.
Let's see what
Robots
happens.
fight.
Away we go.
Waddles able to get around the side of Dead Rise.
Oh, and Dead Rise wins the engagement and then goes flying! That had to be 5 front flips.
Waddles bounced back literally off the wall to deliver that second bigger hit, as Dead Rise is now dead in the water, not spinning. Waddles taking full advantage and not giving them time to restart.
Well, that weapon is down, and with a design like Dead Rise, they're going to be flipping every which way from every single hit.
Dead Rise just becomes a plaything at this point, a full square with a lot of ground clearance as Waddles just keeps coming at them. They're now potato chipped and unable to move as their entire frame has been bent
Look at
by
that, that side shot just a moment ago. You could see the thick armor plating on the bottom of Dead Rise peeling off from the rest of the robot. Waddles doing a well-earned victory dance in the center of the arena. And our housebot Flo moving Dead Rise towards the arena doors.
Dead Rise has to be happy with this performance, making the top 4 here tonight, but Waddles able to come in and destroy them quite rapidly. Dead Rise got the better of the first engagement, and then it was all Waddles from there.
And you know, we talked in the beginning of this match about how Waddles has this advantage of modularity. Their advantage is not the modularity, it is how well built both of those modules are. And this is what I'm talking about. You see that first hit, sure, their geometry advantaged them. Dead Rise was able to get a great hit. It didn't matter. Waddles came in immediately, punched back, and then kept it coming, hit after hit, corralling their opponent in the corner of the arena, and then tossing them over and over again until the whole robot started to come apart. This was just a profound show-off session for Waddles and how well-built and well-driven this machine is.
A great premier event for Dead Rise, but Waddles showing the power of the veteran driving skill, poise and calm, able to bounce back off the wall, off the rail, come and deliver those hits, take the victory. Let's throw it back to the desk. What do you think about that one?
Woo, Kyle. I really liked the aggression coming out of Waddles. I liked how stoked he got when he knew he won, and I liked his little dance a whole lot.
Yeah, it was good showmanship all the way around. Yeah. Connor Howard putting on a driving clinic. Lost, what, 1 engagement? And then after that, it was all Waddles all the time. The deadliest animal in the Arctic, that's right, the penguin.
Kyle, this 30-pound final is going to be pretty good.
I'm pretty excited about that 30-pound final, absolutely. But in the meantime, let's talk about that 3-pound bracket, the most competitive 3-pound division in the world, coming up right now.
All right, Vapor Trail defeated the Power of Friendship to take on Repeater, who defeated his own teammate, Knuckle Sandwich. At the bottom of the bracket, Jelly Baby took a win over Mondo Bizarro, only to face Sad Octopus. What do you think about this Vapor Trail Repeater fight?
I think that this is going to be a very tough matchup for Vapor Trail. Johnny Sumpas is an incredible driver, one of the best intuitive drivers in the game, but he's going up against 2 of the best drivers in the game in Ryan Liu and Peter Garnache. It's going to be rough. Let's go ahead and meet our competitors right now. First up, representing Team Defective. It's Johnny Sumpas and Vapor Trail.
Johnny coming in all the way from the Bahamas for this tournament.
And look at Stylish as always, being supported by his teammates. He's ready to go. And they are going up against, from Repeat Robotics, it's Ryan Liu, the defending, reigning 3-pound world champion, Repeater!
These two flew up from Texas for this, and they are ready to take it to Vapor Trail. Let's go ahead and send this one to the booth. Adam and Ricky, take it away.
Repeater looking great all day like usual.
Vapor Trail, no less so. We're going to go to the tail of the tape. Johnny Sumpas bringing Vapor Trail all the way from the Bahamas. This is a fierce vertical spinner with precise driving style that has earned him a 16-3 record. He's going up against Repeater from Ryan Liu, another, well, not quite as far, coming in from Plano, Texas. Dual beater bars on this multi-bot design, a 22-4 record, and of course, their X Factor coming in with a multi-bot that can attack from all sides at all times. Repeater, one of those robots that shows up as a multi-bot where either half of the robot could be a fierce competitor in its own right.
And we saw that in the last fight as only one half of Repeater even fought and still took home the tap-out victory. But Johnny Sumpas, otherwise known as Johnny Bahamas, going to be trying to step in here and prevent them from getting to the final.
Away we go. Repeater splitting. Oh!
There's the teamwork of Repeater.
A little friendly fire action. Look at how hard Vapor Trail is able to throw each half of Repeater into the air when it does make contact. Those are big hits. It doesn't take a lot to get one half of these robots just knocked out of the game.
Oh, and you could see that half of Repeater, the red half, is tweaked, unable to keep all four wheels on the ground.
Both halves are tweaked, at least a little bit. The drive side of the other side of Repeater, the red side, is tweaked hard.
And oh, they're able to flip that fork over, and now they're driving around just fine. Looked like it was just a fork flipped under before. And now both halves of Repeater are face up, but I think, and both weapons are working as well.
Yeah, no lasting damage. Well, some lasting damage. Still, the left-hand drive side on Repeater is really struggling. Well, big roof shot.
Vapor Trail using the weight to their advantage, sending the halves of Repeater into the ceiling.
Look at this, a great pin from the blue half of Repeater. Vapor Trail up against the wall, unable to move. So impressive from a 2-pound robot being able to pin its 3-pound opponent.
A weird pin there as Repeater ended up getting themselves stuck in the wall. Vapor Trail on top of them at the end. But now Vapor Trail sending Repeater flying through the air. Repeater at a disadvantage here as now the red half is having extreme mobility issues. Vapor Trail able to concentrate on the blue half. But wow, some big hits there from Repeater. A wheel coming off of Vapor Trail now.
Vapor Trail is on the ropes in every sense of the word. A little more friendly fire there, and then wow! Repeater going flying. As much as Vapor Trail is struggling right now, it is still anybody's game.
Vapor Trail seems to be on the ropes, taking a lot of smaller hits from Repeater, and then will deliver massive blows every so often.
It's exactly what we're seeing so far. A lot of redundancy on Vapor Trail as well. Able to tank a lot.
Literally, littering the arena. You can see forks and bolts and armor.
Oh, unfortunately, that front of Vapor Trail just not in a configuration that lets itself right very
well. You can see the tread on both of the rear wheels on Vapor Trail has come off. That is why they're unable to get the power here to self-right. They can't really drive without that tread.
There it is, the assist from Brett. They're able to self-right and immediately hit the red half and the blue half of Repeater.
So they're driving just fine now on the front wheels around the arena, but with no tread on the back wheels, they're at a real disadvantage. Fight now coming to an end. Wow, was that some action.
That was so much. This could go either way. I think I have a slight edge for Repeater in this case, but boy, there were some big hits.
You know, my immediate feel was similar. You know, I got to give it to Repeater. However, half of Repeater was doing circles in the fight for most of the match.
I agree. It's going to have to be taken into account. We're going to the replay now. We can see some of those hits.
Massive hits both directions here as everyone was flying around the arena.
Imagine that as a fighter, delivering just giant blow to your opponent, only to have your, tail kicked in by the other half of your opponent. That must be so disoriented for Johnny as a driver.
It is very tough to go up against multiple robots in the arena. If you're not really dialed in, it can be overwhelming. Who do I go after? And while you're sitting there confused, your opponent's hitting you in the behind. But I thought that the driving from Vapor Trail and Johnny was really good in that fight. Of course, Repeater always driving well. That's going to be a tough one to judge. Let's throw it up to Richard in the pits, see who he's got for us.
That's right, guys. It is that time of the evening where the pits are slowly emptying out. You're either packing to head home or prepping for another fight. And speaking of fight, the word is Caldera 12 against Maximizer. I found fan favorite. It's Julian of Mako. Break down this fight for us.
Well, these are two of the best drivers in the 12-pound division. Two of the best bots, obviously. Caldera has a bigger weapon, a stronger weapon, but I think Maximizer has the edge with his plow, his forks. I think if Jake can drive his game and stay away from his big weapon and pick his shots, he can win it. But if Glenn can land those big hits, I don't know if Maximizer can tank them necessarily. If they go weapon to weapon, I think I'd give it to Caldera.
All right, he's going with Caldera. Everybody's talking about this fight coming up. Like I said, it's starting to empty out, and they're headed back downstairs. We've got plenty of action coming up, but this is the one that we're really excited about, so we're going to go and send it back down to you guys.
All right,
I have
thank
some
you,
different
Richard.
feelings about that fight than that there Papazian, but we'll talk about that later. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to move on to the bottom half of this 3-pound bracket. We've got two very different designs down there. One of my favorite things about this fight is we have a control-style bot in the final four of this bracket. In the 3-pound division, that is nearly unheard of. There's only a handful of them that have really even made it to that start.
And it's been a while.
It's been a good while, but if anybody's going to do it, it's Paige Clayfield and Jelly Baby. Amazing robot. It just can't be hurt. In this tournament especially, it can't be hurt.
And I'm kind of excited that we have a touch of an underwater theme with this next fight.
Very true. Yeah, they're going up against the sad octopus. This thing is not sad today. It is mean.
No, it's angry. It's
an angry octopus. Yeah, they are really taking out their sadness in the form of anger. This thing has been vicious all day long, and it's been progressively more aggressive as the day has gone on, as they felt more confident.
It's cool how that works, you know?
They're now going to be in a semifinal matchup. The winner of this matchup will take on whoever wins the judge's decision between Vapor Trail and Repeater. That one's still up in the air. I think the edge goes a little bit towards Repeater there, but I'm not so sure.
I don't know. I just like, sometimes you just instantly know, even if the builders themselves don't know, you know in your heart. But that one, I'm still on both sides.
All right, well, we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. So first up in this semi-final matchup, it is Paige Clayfield and Jelly Baby. She's flexible, she's flippable. This bot has the ability to make anybody do the thing. You gotta love the Jelly Baby. And they are up against, from Team Duckbots, it's Cameron Guerin and the Sad Octopus. It's just so sad. It's just so sad.
Big bites, roof shots, that's what he's looking for in this fight. Hoping to end Jelly Baby as fast as possible. But we are going to head to the play-by-play booth with Adam and Ricky to call the fight.
Thank you so much, guys. We're going to go right into the tail of the tape. Jelly Baby coming in from Page Clayfield, Aberdeen, Maryland, right up the street from my hometown, coming in with an indestructible lifter and a 20-6 record. That is fantastic in the 3-pound class for a control bot like Jelly Baby. They're trying to take on Sad Octopus. Cameron is coming from Milford, New Hampshire with this vertical spinner, 13-9 record, and an aggressive full send attitude. They are going to need that aggressive if they're going to take a bite out of Jelly Baby, which so far has been nigh on indestructible.
Sad Octopus, this is their 7th event. Jelly Baby only their 5th, but Jelly Baby coming in with more fights in hand because of how much they win. They just keep going in the tournament. But tonight they meet together in the semis. Jelly Baby has looked terrific and floppy and flippy and flexible as usual. We'll see if they can keep that streak going against Sad Octopus, who has been pretty destructive so far. Jelly Baby, a control bot, has to be perfect from start to finish. All it takes is one big KE hit to end their day. And Sad Octopus would be happy to deliver.
Robots fight.
Away we go, an immediate pin, and look at that! Sad Octopus stuck up on the arena wall. We've seen this from Jelly Baby already today. Burning and unstick in the first 10 seconds of the match.
That is exactly how Jelly Baby wanted to open the fight, and there it is. Oh, Sad Octopus almost stuck again, able to scoot themselves down with the vibrations of their weapon.
This is a tense match. Jelly Baby coming in like a shark, just cruising in and putting Sad Octopus exactly where they want.
Do the thing engraved on their flipper. That is their path to victory against these verts. A flipper is great for flipping other robots. It's also great for unsticking yourself from these tricky situations. Sad Octopus, no arm like that, so you can get them stuck.
We've been seeing an impressive ability from Sad Octopus, though, to get under Jelly Baby. If Cameron drives just right, it's able to pop just like that. Jelly Baby up into the air, get that engagement with the weapon.
Both robots go flying there. Jelly Baby with another pin, trying to get a stick here.
Ooh, that was bad luck on the flipper on Jelly Baby.
And that sounded harsh.
Yeah, you can tell when damage is done just from the sound of it.
We are halfway through this fight. Jelly Baby controlled much of it. Sad Octopus is going to be looking for more hits in the latter half. But not a good way to start the second half of this fight, as they are propped up against the wall, and another pin by Jelly Baby. Near flawless driving here from Page and Jelly Baby, as Cameron is doing everything he can to get around the side there, sending Jelly Baby flying a couple times, but they bounce right back and pin Sad Octopus again. You can see the little pops from the flipper there on Jelly Baby.
Yeah, it's such an energetic flipper for a flipper of that size. It's really able to put some oomph behind the lifts.
Sad Octopus upside down again, able to self-right quickly as Jelly Baby repositions. Sad Octopus flying around the arena, trying to get to the side, able to every so often, but more times than not, Jelly Baby keeping the front pointed out.
Yeah, this is really good work from both of these competitors. I really expected Sad Octopus to be on their heels after the first 10 seconds.
Great way to end this, as there's 13 seconds left. Sad Octopus getting a little volley there. Jelly Baby, though, another pin
what a moment to
end
on. Oh, and then a little more.
Wow.
so much back and forth in the last 20 seconds of that fight. Really keeping us guessing.
That was a tremendous battle of driving skill and bot design. Both bots coming out of the arena fully functional, not really much damage at all to either robot. That's going to be judged pretty much fully on control and aggression. What a close fight. I am glad I am not a judge, Ricky.
Yeah, that is going to come down to the numbers. We'll have to wait for those from the judges here shortly, but we're going to go to the replay in the meantime. Let's see what we saw. Jelly Baby immediately able to get this pin. Basically flawless start to the match.
Could that be the difference in this fight?
It certainly set the tone for the rest of the match. From that moment on, it was only one mistake away. Sad Octopus was only one mistake away from losing the match, and they drove almost flawlessly the rest of the time, and they still really struggled to keep up with Jelly Baby.
You know, it's difficult because, you know, the Jelly Baby controlled, you know, more time, I think, overall. But there are those moments of strong control from Sad Octopus when they're able to send Jelly Baby flying on these volleys here.
Let's just take a half a second, too. The hits that they took in those strong volleys, or I should say the hits that Jelly Baby took in those strong volleys, seemed to do almost nothing. I mean, they were able to shrug, Jelly Baby was able to shrug those off effortlessly. That's incredible. Let's go back to the desk, see if they're as shocked as I am.
Judges' decisions. That's crazy. This is going down. This 3-pound final is going to come down to 2 ridiculously close judges' decisions. Just a reminder, at the beginning of the day, it was Vapor Trail versus Repeater. Extremely close judges' decision there. And whoever wins between Jelly Baby and Sad Octopus, it's going to be another extremely close judges' decision. We've got to play it by the numbers. All right, so speaking of, we've got that decision right now for Vapor Trail versus Repeater. Let's see what our judges had to say. Split decision, your winner by a tiny point spread. It's Johnny Bahamas, Johnny Sumpas, and Vapor Trail. Look at Johnny, he is freaking out. I don't think he thought that was going to be the case.
Ryan and Peter coming up for that handshake, hugs from his teammates.
That was so close. It could have gone either way. The rubric just happened to go in Johnny's favor. Well-deserved win for Johnny Sumpas. Bahamas bringing home the victory today. You gotta love
That's
that.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, before we get that next one, let's take a look at the 12-pound bracket, Kyle.
Yeah, that's been a crazy one.
All right, we've got Battle Tots facing up against Huge at the top of the bracket. Battle Tots, the 2-part multi-bot, mostly vertical spinners, going up against Huge, the big wheel Huge style robot. At the bottom, Maximizer, the Thagomizer style horizontal, is taking on Caldera 12, your traditional big bar horizontal.
This is their rubber match. Last time they faced was in February of this year. They've got 1 win on each other and 1 knockout on each other. We're going to see how that goes. I have some opinions on that matchup, but we'll see.
Well, let's see what if our judges' opinions.
All right, so here we go. By another split decision, your winner, Paige Clayfield, Jelly Baby. You got to stay loose. You got to stay flexible.
Yeah, baby,
you know what I'm saying?
jelly.
Stay jelly. That's amazing. That durable lifter-style robot controlled enough of that fight and showed enough aggression to pull out the split decision victory. So 2 split decision bots are going to be making it into the 3-pound final, the most competitive 3-pound division in the world here at NHRL. But in the meantime, let's meet our next fighters in the 12-pound division. First up, I've heard this before, Team Pandemonium. It's Tim, it's Ariel, it's Kevin, it's Battle Tots.
Look at these little guys. 2-part multi-bot. Both rocking vertical spinners.
And they will be facing, from Team Brutus Robotics, it's kind of a big deal. It's Don Derfler and Huge. You're gonna hear something that sounds like booze throughout this match. It's not, it's huge.
And they put down an epic rebuild after their fight before. Wow, they took a lot of damage in that one. But they've got fresh wheels. It looks like a fresh blade. Sever really did a number on them, but I think they're definitely more poised to go up against these two very small vertical spinners. They're compact. They're going to get straddled by Huge, no problem.
This is going to be a car wash of death for these two robots. It's going to be amazing to watch. We're going to go to our friends in the booth to call this action. Adam and Ricky, what's up?
Thank you, guys. I am excited for this fight. Battle Tots. Kevin bringing this from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Dual spinning multi-bots, a 15-10 record. That is pretty fantastic. Oopsies double. Okay, I see that. Huge going up, coming from Don Derfler, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A high-mounted vert that is just perfect to pick off these little multi-bot opponents. A 26-7 record. We call it the car wash of doom because you pull right down through the middle and it rains down just a wonderful battering of blows from above.
All day I keep wanting to pronounce it Oogie.
Okay.
5.
All together Oogie. Got it.
3, 2, 1.
Away we
Robots
go.
fight.
Huge came out of the last match by the skin of its teeth. I'm interested to see how well it can even hit Battle Tots. They're so low.
Battle Tots.
Wow, there's your answer.
Wow. I guess they didn't have a horizontal here. That would have been more damaging, I think, to the wheels on Huge.
Wow.
Huge not letting same force.
Look at the bottom of the blue half of Battle Tots being just ripped open. That robot doesn't want to be flipped over. It's not going to move at all.
Oh, it can't move now.
That's
and they're going to go after the frog.
This is a surgical multi-piece assassination of Battle Tots.
Oh boy. It's like a dog playing with its toy here.
It's incredible how this geometry lines up. Oh, that's amazing. Half of Battle Tots has self-righted to be back upside down again.
I think Huge actually came over and hit the...
Look at them, they're tied
boy.
together. The weapon on Huge is embedded in the front of the green half of Battle Tots.
Dug into, maybe inside the weapon slot there.
And there it is, they're freed up. That is nuts. I've never seen anything like that. Another big hit, taking the belt off the side of the green section of Battle Tots. Now both halves of Battle Tots upside down, damaged, limping at best.
Huge driving back to their corner. They're going to have to do a little bit more to get the count out here.
Huge just going in to lick that toad one more time.
And that could be it, as now both halves really unable to move. Is that enough motion from the blue half? It doesn't seem like it.
No, it doesn't seem like it. We're going for a countdown. Huge sailing through to the finals today.
Wow.
They're going to be going up against either Maximizer or Caldera, both very difficult matchups. This is a very much an out of the frying pan into the fryer match for Team Huge.
Let's take a look at the replay here, as this was basically a statement win from Huge as they head to the finals, picking apart Battle Tots, tossing them around the arena like they were nothing, embedding themselves and suplexing the frog half of Battle Tots.
Just an incredible show. That weapon is essentially the perfect geometry to be hitting robots like Battle Tots. Huge already likes to go up against four-wheel drive, low-slung vertical spinners. To make them even smaller and more compact just makes them a more appealing target. We're going to go to Richard. He's in the pits. He's got some information for us. Richard, what can you tell us?
Oh boy, we're getting ready for the 30-pound golden dumpster fight. It is Waddles versus Aries, WPI versus MIT for world domination in the 30-pound bracket. Connor, your initial thoughts on this matchup?
You know, we're 0-2. We're 2-0 against MIT, Aries. So we're feeling pretty good. We beat them with the undercutter once, beat them with the vert once. We're going back to the vert. We improved the weapon stack a bunch. It's all brand new, and we're hoping to make it quick.
What's the condition of the bot after, this far into the tournament going into the finals?
So we had quite a few repairs after Overlord took out a drive side on us, but team pulled through, fixed the robot, and it's been great so far.
And the strategy against the bot like Aries?
We want to dictate the engagements. We want to make sure that we're picking engagements that favor us, and just controlling the pace of the fight.
All right, Aries, Waddles, 30-pounders, it's about to go down, so back to you guys.
All right, they're starting to clear out a little bit up there in the primetime pits.
All right, so we are getting ready for our next 12-pound fight to find out who will be facing off against Team Brutus and Huge in the 12-pound final. It is two of the best horizontal spinners in the game. It's Glenn Boxall. It's Jake Hoffman. It's gonna be a banger. There's no way around it.
No way around it.
So let's go ahead and introduce our competitors right now. From Team Defective, it's Jake Hoffman, and it's Maximizer! I love this bot. I love this competitor. He's got passion. He's got ingenuity. He's got a crazy machine. And they are up against, from Team Too Hot to Handle, it's Glenn Boxall, and it's Caldera 12. Glenn ready to go. He wants a dumpster. He wants a dumpster in the 12-pound division.
All right, we are going to hop to the play-by-play booth to call this fight. Ricky and Adam, take it.
Maximizer and Caldera 12, two tremendous competitors. Jake driving Maximizer out of Louisville, Kentucky. It's a thagamizing spinner, a weapon he invented. 30-8 at NHRL. One head-to-head win against Caldera, and Glenn Boxall coming out of Marlborough, Mass. A typical or classic horizontal spinner dialed into the max. 21-15, also with one head-to-head win against Jake and Maximizer, who is going to go 2-1 here and slip the matchup in their favor, Ricky.
That really is probably the matchup, the rivalry of the night. Jake and Glenn have had amazing fights in the past. This is all going to come down to driving skill and who learned the most from their last matchup. I have no idea how this is going to go, and I'm really excited about that.
This is a great fight because Jake's robot looks very similar to Caldera 12, but it has a lot of intricacies to it. First off, he can adjust the weapon height, whereas Caldera 12 is kind of set at the height they run at, so Jake can dial that in, try and aim for the hub or frame of Caldera 12. And also, you can see here, Maximizer drives with the wedge in front and then spins around with their weapon, whereas Caldera 12 goes weapon first.
Here we go. That wedge looking a little tired on the front of Maximizer, but that can be deceptive sometimes. Wow! A big hit inverts Maximizer.
But it looks like one of the drive sides of Caldera 12 is down after that initial engagement. That is what Maximizer is designed to do. Deflect your weapon around, swing around, and hit the side of your bot. And it looks like Jake did just that on that first flurry of hits.
Now, an interesting strategy. Jake is starting to go a little more weapon forward now that the mobility is limited on Caldera.
Caldera 12 chunking the wall there, but still spinning fast. You can see their side armor plate on their right wheel caved in.
Yeah, pushed into their wheel. That wheel does appear to still work, just not very well when it's being pushed in by the side armor package.
Ooh, and now they are kind of stuck on some sort of divot in the floor here.
Yeah, they're able to escape, but just barely. Man, so many gashes are being taken in the arena walls right now. You can see there Brian Boxel being zoomed in. We truly live in the future. We're watching robots fight, and there's telepresence so family members can see each other. Oh, look at this!
And I just voted no in the poll of will both weapons last.
Caldera has sucked in some of its own armor into its weapon. It's jammed up its weapon, and there it goes. It's good again.
Back to life.
This is going to be really, really close, though. They're going to have to be careful not to do that again.
Ingesting their own armor plate as a bit of entangling debris. Will this free up the wheel, though?
It may. We will see very shortly as soon as this pin is over.
Ooh, it doesn't seem to have. That wheel is still inoperable. But is Maximizer's weapon also down?
Well, the nice thing here is Caldera's weapon doesn't seem to be down at all. It's just slow and not able to spin up because Maximizer's staying on top of them.
I wonder if they cause some damage ingesting that material or if they'll be able to spin up now that they're free. It looks to be a bit slower than earlier.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Both robots the worse for wear as we have 38 seconds left in this fight.
Oh, goodness. Look at this. Caldera stuck in the wall in a divot they cut earlier.
At just the right height to get themselves stuck again. It looks like Caldera is just gradually slowing down here.
Oh, Maximizer's weapon is back up again.
Gradually spinning up as both weapons really want me to have voted the incorrect way in that poll. With 8 seconds left in this fight, Maximizer looks to take it, being fully operational as the count comes to an end.
That was a scrappy fight. Both of these competitors wanted it bad. Jake and Glenn both putting in a heck of a fight. We're going to have to wait for the judges, but my money's with you, Adam. I think Jake and Maximizer are going to take that. Functionality-wise, control, aggression, I think they had it all. We're going to go to a replay, see some of these big moments again.
The crowd liked it, the drivers liked it, we liked it.
We'll like it even more a second time when we get to the replay. Let's do it. You can see here Caldera coming in cautiously.
Look at this initial engagement, swings around and hits the wheel, but it's still working at this point.
That's the big hit right there. I think you're right, Adam. It was just the reaction from that hit that caused the initial damage, and it was a little bit later that the plastic got pushed in and caused the drive side to fail.
You can see a great hit there. Maximizer really using that Thagomizer thwack ability to deliver powerful hits.
Well, it's amazing, too. That's a very sharp, pointy weapon on Thagomizer, and that seems to be able, on Maximizer, that can really pierce the TPU armor on a robot like Caldera.
Let's send it back to the desk. Sam, Kyle, how do you feel about that one?
One of the most interesting things about Jake Hoffman and Maximizer is that his defeats equal the next round of improvements on his bot. The armor package on the Thagomizer is specifically designed to combat that spinner on Caldera 12, because at one point the entire weapon hub was sniped out by Caldera 12 for a knockout victory 2 years ago. That is, what, 3 generations of improvements back on Maximizer? It has been growing and changing since then, and still going up against Caldera 12, they both come out of it looking like they lost that fight.
And yet Maximizer, he had the energy of a winner after that fight. I don't know if you noticed that in Jake.
Absolutely. I think by the judges' numbers, it's going to be a Maximizer win. That seems pretty clear to me. We'll have to see how that goes, but
we'll have to see.
Very excited to see that. Well, we are there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
we are
Kyle.
down to the finals in all of the weight classes. We know who's going to be competing in almost all of them now. We still got to figure it out for that 12-pound division, but we're going to wait for the judge's decision in the 12-pound division before we move on into that 30-pound bracket. That 30-pound bracket is coming next. It's going to be Aries versus Waddles. It is the closest thing we have to an East Coast rivalry between college teams. WPI versus MIT. But this just in, ladies and gentlemen, we have a judge's decision, and officially in the final for the 12-pound division.
Here we go. By unanimous decision, it is
huge margins.
Maximizer.
Jake, Team Defective, Maximizer moving on into that final in the 12-pound division, facing off against 2022's world champion, Team Brutus Robotics, the Durfler brothers, and Huge.
That's going to be a matchup for sure. Each kind of has a weakness to each other. I am so excited to see how that one pans out.
All right, so we are now getting ready for our 30-pound final. Let's look at our bracket and see how we got here.
At the top of the bracket, you can see Aries defeated their own MIT teammate in Kratos to go on to face Colossal Avian. They took out that hammer saw in kind of a weird match to make it to the finals.
Down at the bottom of the bracket, you can see Waddles made their way through Overlord. They defeated the Dead Rise, and the Penguin stands tall. They will be facing Aries for the 30-pound Golden Dumpster.
I couldn't be more excited. A WPI MIT matchup here in the finals. This is going to be great.
This is going to be absolutely fantastic, Sam. I can't wait to see it. We've got Waddles fans in the audience. Who doesn't love a vicious penguin? Let's go ahead and meet our competitors right now. First up, from Team MIT.
It's Ryan Duarte and Aries.
Look at this team. They are ready to go. Are you not entertained? And they will be facing, from Team WPI, it's Connor Howard. And it's Waddles. Don't be fooled by all the cute. This machine is all death. Cannot wait to see these two bots go up against each other.
All right, but we are going to send it to Ricky and Adam to call this final fight in the 30-pound class.
Thank you, Sam. I am pumped. This tale of the tape is awesome. Aries from Ryan Duarte, an MIT representative, bringing his extreme beater bar and a 18-7 record to go up against a robot he's bested twice before, Waddles from Connor Howard and WPI. This modular nightmare has a 24-9 record, but has won twice against Aries in the past. Are they going to make this the third? We're going to find out real soon.
This is a big one. WPI MIT has to be one of the biggest college rivalries at NHRL. And I think that we're going to see Aries looking for some payback from those previous two wins. Both of those wins, judges' decisions. I think both teams are going for a knockout here tonight. Powerful vertical spinners, and it would be a miracle if both of these made it to the bell.
I gotta say, this is one of those matchups that makes me, as a person who helps design and maintain these cages, just a little bit nervous for the work we're gonna have to do later. I know there's gonna be some pieces torn out of the arena. There's gonna be some big gouges. This just looks like a lot of work for me, Adam, and I think it's all gonna be worth it. But right now, all I can think is, Wow, there's these big pieces of wood and polycarbonate flying around this arena.
A lot of kinetic energy in the box. Luckily, the floor is already torn up.
Yeah, no shame there. Why not put another divot in? We're tearing that up at the end of the day anyway. What I want to see is that same big fist-size hole that I know they can put in the floor, put in their opponent. This is full head-to-head vertical spinner, just violence, honestly. Both of these have a lot of power.
4,
Anything could happen.
3, 2,
Waddles used to have a bad habit of breaking in half. That hasn't been the case lately.
Ooh, Waddles winning the first engagement. Aries taking it slow. Waddles winning the second engagement. Losing the third.
Upside down now as Aries comes in for a little volley of hits here.
Look at that, just barely inching away from death.
Big weapon-to-weapon hits here. These can be scary with the weapons hitting.
There's a big piece of the floor gone.
Waddle stuck here. Will they be able to vibrate off? Or are they going to have to call for an unstick? They're calling for the... Nope. Saw the house robot. There they go. There's the unstick. Aries happy to give it to them. Chunks falling off of Waddles at this point.
Yeah, Aries just surgical in its application of force. Waddles to its part, holding up very well.
Aries is not moving.
Is Waddles going to go in and make a kill shot?
Aries spinning down. They're calling for... Oh, no, they're tapping.
That's the tap out. That's the end of the match and a couple late hits.
Oh, I don't think they realized. I think they thought that was an unstick request.
Wow, look at that. The energy is just incredible.
Wow, I thought Aries had that one in the bag, but never say die. Waddles able to survive as Aries goes dead and spins down and taps out.
WPI must be thrilled with that performance.
A couple late hits there at the end. I think all's well that ends well. No one looks too mad about it.
It's hard when you're right on that cusp.
Yeah, it's hard to tell the difference between the tap out lights and the unstick lights.
Let's see what we can hear cage side. I don't think there are any bad vibes cage side right now.
No, you can see that basically Aries is upset with themselves, unable to answer why did the robot die when they were doing so well. Let's take a look at the replays here.
Yeah, the replay might help us explain just why that robot died. First off, a lot of kinetic energy. These robots beat each other up. Granted, mostly that was Aries doing the punishing and Waddles taking the punishment. But even these hits, you can see how Aries shakes on each impact. That can do some real
This is
damage.
it here. This hit.
That's
dead.
the one.
Didn't look like anything particularly special.
No, but you know what we see there is Aries drove backwards about 3 feet in the arena. They were forced backwards. That can send all kinds of wacky electrical problems back into your system, burn things out. It's those moments when your drive is forced to go in the wrong direction.
Could it
that
be
you get the biggest
a
spikes.
regen issue with electronic braking turned on? Who knows? Let's see what Sam has to say.
Well, I spoke to Connor about this potential matchup earlier today, and he had nothing but confidence in his answer, and he put that out onto the battlefield and proved that that confidence was well warranted. And just, I'm so pleased with WPI. They've been the first college here at NHRL to really pop off. They started to kind of go on a lull, and this has just turned it all around. They are at that level with MIT, but are they at that level with Georgia Tech? I can't wait to find out, and I'm so happy. And Kyle, let's see this trophy.
All right, so I am standing by with Connor Howard and Team W That's right. Connor, you had a little bit of confusion at the end of that matchup. What did you think was going on?
I was so focused on just staying alive. I had no clue they tapped. I just wanted to keep hitting them.
Connor, your bot performed beautifully. Do you have any damage to speak of?
Get a close up on this. They cracked our beater. We gotta get a new one now.
So much of this has to be replaced. Well, Connor, there is only one thing left to do. Take this for your team, my friend, and hold it high.
What a match. I am so pleased with the WPI team. I think a cracked beater might be worth a golden dumpster, and I think that entire team would agree. And now I just love that they're giving autographs. They've got fans. They're stoked. They are going to sleep well tonight. Connor lost his voice so fast and easily. But, that is also worth it for a golden dumpster. And, well, we've got 2 more finals coming up for you in the not too distant future. The 12 and 3 pound class remain. And Kyle.
That was so epic.
Yeah,
WPI is on it, guys. That was so crazy. The crack in that beater was legit. It was all the way through the structure of that beater. That's an expensive piece of metal that they're going to have to replace before they come back anywhere with that machine. And they still pulled out the win.
What do you think happened with Aries? Do you think they intended to tap out in that moment, or were they going for an unstick?
It seemed like they were dead. I think they were dead on the box floor, and I don't think they wanted any more hits. And you could see what was going on with the Waddles team. They were not holding back. There is no way an unstick would have stopped them. They would have just kept going in for hits. And so I think that was a calculated effort to save their bot. They don't want to take any more damage with that possibility of now going to the World Finals and taking that golden Brett.
And I think that makes sense because Aries has already brought home a golden dumpster this year.
Yep.
They don't need it they don't need to take the damage to get another golden dumpster.
No.
But I'm surprised they didn't want to.
So proud of Connor Howard. That was a amazing driving clinic. That weapon worked beautifully right up until it broke. All right, so now we have 3 pound finals next. Let's look at the bracket and see how we got there.
All right, at the top you can see a Vapor Trail took on Kokoto Mane's Power of Friendship in an amazing fight and squeaked it out. They then went on to take on another multi-bot in Repeater, and Johnny Sumpas and Vapor Trail seems to be a multi-bot destroyer. But
down at the bottom of the bracket, we've got a unique bot in Jelly Baby, taking out Mondo Bizarro and the aggressive Sad Octopus to bring it all the way to the finals up against Vapor Trail. Can they keep being flexible and winning today? We'll find out.
Well, I think that Johnny and Vapor Trail's blade might be sharp enough to actually slice into Jelly Baby instead of just doing the impact and knocking it away.
It's definitely the right strategy against a robot like Jelly Baby, but I gotta say, other people have tried to do that to Paige Clayfield's bot and failed miserably. Let's go ahead and meet our competitors right now. First up, from Team Defective and the Bahamas, that's right, Johnny Sumpas and Vapor Trail. Johnny making his way into a finals matchup, going for a golden dumpster, and they are up against Paige Clayfield and Jelly Baby.
Aberdeen, Maryland.
It's a flippy little bot, ocean themed, and it can take so many hits because it just rolls with the punches. It flexes with the damage. Two very different styles here and two fantastic drivers. Let's go ahead and throw it to our friends in the play-by-play booth. Adam and Ricky, let's go.
Let's go. Exactly my feelings right now. Paige has been on a tear with Jelly Baby today, coming from Aberdeen, Maryland, starting on the right-hand side of this tail of the tape. This lifter has been so precise and so effective, a 21-6 record. And the key to this fight for Paige is going to be high centering Vapor Trail. Vapor Trail from Johnny Sumpas, he's going to do absolutely everything he can to make sure that Jelly Baby never gets that chance. He came all the way from Bahamas, and he does not want to go home with anything less than a first place finish.
This is crazy because Jelly Baby, a control bot, has never been knocked out but has 7 knockouts themselves. They're able to high center opponents on the wall, force them to use those unstick requests, and then get the count out. They are an extremely durable, flexible robot. Vapor Trail, however, is also very durable and able to launch and tear apart opponents. Who will win here? The immovable force or the unstoppable wall? Let's see.
All right, I'll go with that.
I think that's right.
It's close enough.
3,
Away
2,
we go.
1.
Fight, robots,
May
fight.
3-pound finals. Excellent control right off the bat from Jelly Baby. Another almost perfect start. Look at that. Did you see how embedded Vapor Trail's front forks became in the wall?
Great control here early as Vapor Trail trying everything they can do to get around, losing the head-to-head ground game, sending themselves flying around the arena as Jelly Baby chases behind. And another pin here from Jelly Baby. This is the 4th one. We're only 30 seconds into this fight.
Very impressive driving skills and a terrible position
almost
for Vapor Trail.
Jelly Baby trying to get Vapor Trail stuck, trying to force them to use their unstick request to get that knockout.
Jelly Baby so effective and quick in self-righting. I saw that Vapor Trail flipping its opponent upside down. I thought this is a turning point. No, Jelly Baby's immediately back where it wants to be.
Now you'll see Jelly Baby here is going to continuously get these pins. They can pin for a maximum of 10 seconds. And they're going to want to use a lot of that time to get closer and closer to the finish. These control bots have to maintain control, and they want to avoid the weapon.
Well, there's a bit of action from Vapor Trail. They're not able to string these hits together, and that's what Jelly Baby just seems immune to. You can get a couple of good hits, but it's chaining them together and getting big hit after big hit that seems to be so elusive. This is a great pin from Jelly Baby.
Sending Vapor Trail flying using the power of their own weapon against them. Time and time again in this match, we've seen Vapor Trail flying around and not Jelly Baby, as the hits Vapor Trail can deliver against Jelly Baby are so small.
Look at that!
Woo. Still able somehow to get themselves out of that position. Jelly Baby unable to get a single stick yet.
It's a miracle or incredible design or both that Vapor Trail has not been more permanently pinned in this match.
So yeah, no unstick needed yet from Vapor Trail, but Jelly Baby with massive control.
Coming down in the last 30 seconds of this match, and so far it has been all Jelly Baby all the time.
Hitting the floor and the walls substantially more than they've been able to hit Jelly Baby.
That's a great way to look at it, Adam. They have lacked control from the get-go. They're certainly trying to be aggressive, and they're certainly landing a few hits, but it just isn't effective.
Jelly Baby gonna take this to the end here as Vapor Trail unable to deliver many hits at all.
Headed to the judges. I certainly know who my money's on. That was a very decisive look at Paige.
That is exactly how a control robot wants their fight to go.
The emotions running high. We're going to go to the replay while Paige collects herself. What a mix of emotions. You can see right off the bat, Jelly Baby comes out hot, does get a hit, and then is immediately able to pin Johnny to the wall. Give a little flip, give a little lift, but even the lift is almost unnecessary with the level of control that was exacted this entire
Vapor
match.
Trail just unable to dig into the armor of Jelly Baby and deliver those big hits they needed to. However, they were able to dig into the floor, which sent themselves flying across the arena time and time again as Jelly Baby had their way.
Yeah, it was a heck of a fight for Jelly Baby. Paige, just fantastic driving. It's hard to pick out any flaws. Every bit of excitement and relief,
Paige so happy she was crying at the end there. A tidal wave of emotions after that fight. A wild, wild judge's decision here.
We're
Let's
gonna
throw
head
it to Sam.
Yeah.
Incredible. I don't think Paige really screwed up at any point during this day. Her driving was so on point. Her pins were precise. She let go at the appropriate time, and she re-engaged right away. It was just truly a masterclass in driving a control bot. It has been a long time since we've seen something like that in the 3-pound class, and it is just genuinely so cool that she drove perfectly. And now I know this judge's decision is still coming, but you know. And so do I, but we're going to find out officially in just a moment. And until then, I'm just going to keep gushing about Paige's driving. But not to negate the efforts of Johnny Sumpas and how hard he went for this whole tournament, and the decision is in. So let's take a look now. Here it comes with the builders right here. By unanimous decision, Jelly Baby takes to the golden dumpster for the 3-pound class, May 2025. All right, Kyle, you're down there with the winner. Take it away.
All right, so I am standing here with Paige Clayfield and Jelly Baby. Paige, that was a flawless driving victory. You are the first control bot to win a dumpster since 2023. What was your thought process going into that matchup with Johnny? What was your strategy?
Don't get hit and do the thing.
Paige, you have this phrase written on your weapon. It says, "Do the thing." And you told me yesterday that is a commandment to your opponents. I need you to do the thing. Today, you were going through vertical spinners like it was nobody's business. How many times did you get them to do the thing?
Many times. Many times were the things had.
Paige, you drove flawlessly. You defeated so many powerful weapons with your driving skill alone. Paige, there is only one thing left to do. Hand that bot over to your teammate. Take this and hold it high. You deserve it.
I love this sport. Amazing. It feels so good when people win and they earned it. And Jelly Baby really earned it. She took every one of those fights and just drove so well. Incredible driving. I'm so pleased for Paige, and I'm so happy that another Maryland bot has taken home a dumpster. And Kyle. Did that feel good to you, Kyle?
That was absolutely fantastic. Listen, Paige Clayfield drove that match like you wouldn't believe. She is absolutely incredible. That bot absolutely dominated every second of that fight. I loved being next to the cage to watch that, and it was so cool to be able to hand her golden dumpster, the first control bot in the 3-pound division to win a golden dumpster since Supreme Ruler in 2023.
Wow. Incredible. And Johnny Sumpaso, great driver, great robot. He really pulled it out today. I don't think he expected to go as deep as he did, and great job for Team Pandemonium making it into the finals there with Johnny.
Yeah, this is a relatively new bot for Johnny, and this was a great run for him today. So impressive. Johnny's a young guy. He's still in high school. It's easy to forget that because he's been here for so long. But
all right, we're peeking in the pits where we see Jake Hoffman bringing Maximizer down to the first floor. He's got his swag on. He is ready for this match. And I'm ready to see it too. I can't wait to see him in this cage. And let's check out the bracket to see how these robots got here. At the top, Huge defeated Huge defeated Sever in a knuckle buster drag out fight. So much damage all around on Huge, but they pulled it off by a lucky KO and went on to fight Battle Tots, which was really just a hammering of those two multi-bots.
And down at the bottom of the bracket, you've got Maximizer taking out that Carolina Reaper and then taking out their old opponent, Caldera 12, Glenn Boxall, to make it all the way to the finals in a matchup that looks pretty good for them against Huge.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. It is not going to be easy for either of these robots.
No.
I think it could come down to maybe even a single engagement that really defines the fight. Maybe it's the first hit of the fight. Maybe it's something in the middle. We're just going to have to find out.
You know, there's very few big-wheeled robots that Jake Hoffman has gone up against with Maximizer. One of the few that it has gone up against was Slam Plan back in December of 2024, and they lost.
Yeah, I know how that went because Slam Plan went on to win the whole thing.
That's exactly right. So has Jake figured out a big wheel counter that is effective with his Thagomizer-style design? I wouldn't put it past him to have something in the toolbox for that.
I would imagine if he lost that way, he would have adapted.
All right, well, let's get ready for our final of the day, the 12-pound final. Let's go ahead and meet our competitors from Team Brutus Robotics. It is Don Derfler, the Derfler brothers, and Huge!
Out of the Plum High School Robotics team, these guys have been doing this for a very long time.
All right, and from Ohio, it's Team Defective, Jake Hoffman and Maximizer! This is Jake Hoffman's passion. He is here to wreck robots and win championships, and there's only one thing in between him and a golden dumpster tonight.
I see Jake is starting Blade up, but let us send this to the play-by-play booth for Adam and Ricky to call this fight.
Let's do it, Sam. I am hyped. Two of my favorite robots in any class, and probably my two favorite in the 12-pound class. Huge from Don Derfler of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That high-mounted vertical spinner on a big wheel robot, delivering aerial attack after aerial attack, going up against Jake and Maximizer from Louisville, Kentucky. This Thagomizer-style robot has finished first twice. That's twice as many times as Huge, and he is gonna they are gonna whip that wheel so hard into the side of Huge. Hopefully, at least for Jake, it's gonna tear a hole in those wheels and cut Huge down to size.
70 fights and 17 events between these competitors, and they have never matched up before tonight. In this final, we are in for a treat. Huge, generally vulnerable to horizontal spinners, but Maximizer is a weird one with a lot of room for Huge to come in with an overhead attack and not so much bite that they could take out too much of Huge's wheels. So perhaps a good matchup for Huge, but Jake and Maximizer are extremely excited.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And away we go. I'm really interested to see the spinner on Maximizer is. Oh my God! What an upset. The weapon has just disintegrated on Maximizer.
Well, that's not supposed to happen.
It's never happened like that. That is the strangest disassembly, and it's all about Huge to just pull Maximizer apart.
Maximizer now with no offense, they just have to kind of drive themselves into Huge and hope the weapon goes down and that they can control this fight, because at this point they are down in the damage score if this makes it to the judges.
What a wacky start in the first 30 seconds of this fight. You can see Huge has dialed their weapon down. Don's taking no chances, just being very cautious with how that weapon is used.
Yeah,
they don't want to break it.
They don't want to break it, but they don't want to act like they aren't being aggressive, so they're going to keep it on at a low speed here. Maximizer doing everything they can to try to break it. The Huge just keeps spinning back up. Huge now fighting a very controlled fight here. Spin it up, turn it off, run it into Maximizer over and over again. Now they're turning off the weapon motor in between here, again, to protect it. You don't want to keep that motor on during an impact if you don't need to. So you can hear them feathering the throttle up whenever they're not near Maximizer.
Don is being very precise. One thing we're not seeing a lot is the gyro smackdown that you sometimes see from Huge-style robots. Frankly, they don't need it. They can take shots at their leisure. One of these is going to hit something valuable.
Yeah, what's interesting here is, the Huge kind of looks like they're running away a little bit. That is, generally to spin up the weapon. Sometimes the judges see that differently. Could that be perceived as being less aggressive?
It's very tough with a Huge-style robot to maintain a sense of aggression throughout the match, because so much of your maneuvering just seems like you're running away.
Yeah.
And granted, a lot of it is.
And that is going to be tough to judge. However, Maximizer is just really not able to do much here, remaining aggressive, but can you say they have much control here, as Huge is kind of dictating the pace entirely,
Yeah,
it feels like.
It is very impressive, even when your opponent has a weapon down, to be able to dictate a match with a Huge-style robot. And
yeah,
Don is doing that today.
Maximizer does have, a full wedge here. They could get around the side. They could get some pins in. They could shove Huge around. That is not happening.
Last 10 seconds. This will be going to the judges. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your final, robot fans everywhere, your final 12-pound fight for the night for the May NHRL qualifying event. It will be going to the judges, but I think that is a fairly decisive victory for Huge. Cautious optimism, cage side. Let's listen in.
Jake looks a bit upset there.
Yeah, not the way that they were hoping that was going to go.
We'll have to wait for the judge's decision to officially see who's going to take home that golden dumpster. Huge able to make it to the bell, fully functional, dictating the pace of that fight. Maximizer remaining aggressive, but unable to do much once that weapon just sort of disintegrated.
Yeah, I would be very interested to see what happened internally on Maximizer. It's such a strange failure mode. You can see as Jake picks up the bits and bobs that were, removed from that robot. Let's go to the replay and see if we can get that moment. Well, the weapon's still spinning there, so it wasn't that hit that quite there. It is.
Oh, maybe it was that hit, and then as they kind of spun around, It just came apart.
Another angle, and we can see if we get that side piece here.
Yeah,
there
I wonder,
it is.
you know, it took a big uppercut. Started the fight upside down with the weapon running on top. Took a big uppercut. I wonder if that just sort of, you know, broke off whatever was holding that undercutter on. These undercutters, of course, they're not supported on the opposite end. They have to be held on with a nut. I wonder if it just kind of busted off or something. I don't know.
Let's see. Both teams waiting nervously for the official word. Let's go to Sam and see what he has to say.
Well, I thought it might have been defined by one impact in that fight, but I didn't expect that impact to be Maximizer trying to self-right. But the decision is in, and here we are. Unanimously going to huge, your 12-pound champion of the May 2025 event. All right. We're going to go ahead and send it to Kyle. Kyle, go ahead.
All right, so I am standing by with Don Derfler, the Team Brutus Robotics. Don, we haven't seen you guys since 2023 when you won the World Championships. Did you come here to win a dumpster today?
Yeah, tried to.
Well, you succeeded. You not only qualified for this year's World Championships, but you also won the Golden Dumpster in the 12-pound division. Did you think that fight was going to go that way with Jake?
No, I thought, you know, things happen and it can always go any way, you know. It's typical. Sometimes our wheels get destroyed or, you know, it's just whoever gets the first hit and things happen, you know.
You guys, can you take me through the day? Was there anything that surprised you? You guys are vets. You've been doing this for so long. You've seen everything at this point. Was there anything that surprised you? Anything that made you change your thought process or your strategy today?
We just need more parts. We were switching modes between each and every fight, destroying wheels. We had enough, luckily. This weapon was actually from 2000 and the very first Norwalk we came to, and we had to run it because we ran out of our weapon we would normally use in this mode.
It helps to bring spare parts.
Yes.
Sure, yes.
We were on our last set.
We'll hand what's left of your spare parts over to Joe. Take this, because there's only one thing left to do, Don. Hold it high.
Well, folks, that is going to do it from all of us here at the NHRL. If you want to start your own builder journey, make sure you head to nhrl.io and check out Academy, and we will get you on the path to building and getting in this cage. But until next month, June 7th, you're going to just have to keep on building at home, and we will see you very soon. Don't forget, we love you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.